Hi there and welcome to your new look Saturday night here at the MODUS Super Series, where this week 12 players have been whittled down to 6 and they are about to fight it out in front of a live audience for the £5,000 first prize and that coveted spot at Champions Week. Paul Nicholson is alongside me. Paul, it's your first Saturday night here at the Super Series. It's going to be a bit livelier than the live league. This is
a new thing. When I walked into the building for the first time on a Saturday night earlier, just that immediate excitement. People in here can't wait to get this action going, and we have a night of 6 players where it's really hard to pick who's going to win. It's going to be a fabulous Saturday night.
Well, let's start by talking through how the 6 players got there. So earlier this week, 6 of them battled it out in Group A, Monday to Wednesday, and that was won by Andy Hamilton. Conor Heneghan, Adam Smith-Neil dropped into Group B, Steve Brown, Kevin Painter, and Moreno Blom. We'll come on to him because look at that, 4 points at the bottom, 8 adrift of anyone else, 18 adrift of Andy Hamilton. But great week for the Hammer.
Yeah, very much so. He was very pleased with his form throughout Group A. He's got every right to feel like that. He was extremely consistent. His 90 average throughout the 15 matches he played was just too hot to handle, and he won the group by 2 points. Heneghan will be obviously pleased that he got through to Saturday night eventually, but there was probably a period of about 15 hours where I thought, why have I given myself the job of playing on Thursday and Friday? But Hamilton was just too consistent.
Yeah, Conor Heneghan did play on Thursday and Friday in Group B, and thank goodness he did, because Heneghan hit a 9-darter and topped the group. 3 players coming through that group. Heneghan, the main story. Ryan Furness going through with him. Conan Whitehead sneaking that last spot at the expense of the unfortunate Johnny Haynes.
Yeah, Johnny played in the third last game of last night's session, and when he got his job done to get to 8 points, he had to sit back and watch as Ryan Furness and Conan Whitehead did enough in their last games to make sure that they made the Saturday night. But Adam Smith-Neil's gone, Haynes is gone, the other 3 are here tonight.
And finally, Group C, which was played in the afternoon sessions. I mean, we called Friday Freaky Friday, because look what I was saying about Moreno Blom. He was bottom of Group A. He struggled on the first day in Group C, but somehow topped the table and went through with Shewan.
Incredible stuff. With 5 matches to go in this group, only 15 played out of the 20. Everybody still had a chance of qualifying. Scott Walters started Friday at the top of the table on 10 points. He didn't get another win. He's had the real coin flip week. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to get another chance to make the Champions Week, so we won't see him for a while. But fair play to Moreno Blom. He won his last 4 matches, and the fact that he'd done that tells us something about him. He is one to watch. Maybe not just for tonight, but maybe for the future as well.
Well, tonight they're split into 2 groups of 3, round-robin stages, and then a semi-finals and a final where the winner will be crowned. Looking at those groups, Paul, Andy Hamilton, Lee Shewan and Ryan Furness in Group 1, Conan Whitehead, Conor Heneghan, Moreno Blom in Group 2. Who do you see being the finalists? Who do you see being the winner?
It's a really, really tough call. I mean, Andy Hamilton, I think he's going to make the final tonight. I think his consistency and his hunger for tonight, he talked to you on Wednesday when he won the group about the fact that having a crowd is going to help him be the Hammer that we all know and love. And I'm going to go for him against Conan Whitehead, because I think we'll have a thrilling end to the night with a lot of vocality.
And the first match is going to feature Andy Hamilton. He's taking on Lee Shewan in the first game. And we talked about it. Andy Hamilton is a player of pedigree. 10 years ago he was in the World Championship, and he's still got great ability.
He really has. I think his drive to succeed is maybe his best quality. And that bullseye was greeted with a really big shriek. And the fact that he won Group A was no accident. Consistency is key. It definitely was in Group A.
As I said, a decade ago, a World Championship finalist. This year, a World Championship debutant, Lee Shewan, the cobbler, a debutant in this group as well. He goes up against the Hammer and showed us what he can do.
Yeah, he's got definite ability. I think if you were to ask him, is he happy with how he's played this week, he would probably say no. I think there's a lot more to find with Lee Shewan, but to make the Saturday night on your first attempt, that's a really good sign for his future.
And Paul Nicholson will be joining Henry Deacon in commentary. Revered referee Paul Hinks is about to get those 2 players on stage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals Night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. Let's welcome our players to the stage for match 1. The Hammer, Andy Hamilton, and his opponent for the evening, the cobbler, Lee Shewan.
And welcome along to finals night here at the MODUS Super Series. It's the culmination of week 8 of 12, and by the end of play this evening we'll find out the 8th identity that will join the field for Champions Week in the middle part of October. First up to the hockey is Andy Hamilton, the Hammer, former World Championship finalist, up against Lee Shewan, the Cobbler, made his WDF World Championship debut early on this year. Andy Hamilton got here courtesy of winning Group A, so he's had a couple of days off to rest and relax and go again ahead of tonight's action. Whilst for Lee Shewan, he finished second in Group C, making the Saturday night finals on his debut, as the boys up in the studio alluded to a moment or so ago. I'm Henry Deacon, and joining me for one final time this week is the former Players Champion, none less than the Asset Paul Nicholson. Paul.
Yeah, good evening, Henry. Great to be here. This is really exciting. I've been watching the last couple of Saturday nights, watching Kieran Tian and Graham Usher coming through the weekly finals.
140.
But sampling this in person has been a real privilege over the last couple of hours, seeing the build-up with the fans here. You, Chris, and I have been chewing the fat about the stats.
100.
Trying to figure out who's going to win. We really don't know. It's a really tight set of circumstances tonight, but two groups. This is Group 1, Hamilton, Shewan and Ryan Furness. But I've gone for Andy Hamilton, the Group A winner, to get to the final tonight. Chris Murphy asked me who was going to win, but I somewhat shuffled that aside.
140.
Great start from Hamilton, who gets the first max of Saturday night. He's going to love this, isn't he?
Crowd are really loving it as well. The roar when Hamilton hit that first 180, it was so loud they all had a chuckle to themselves as well.
What a start.
135.
46 left after 9. Setting the tone potentially for what could be an amazing Saturday night here at the MODUS Live Lounge.
Andy O'Carr, 46.
A potential 11 dart leg to start. Could be done. If he gets double 16 first dart, and we're going to ask how Andy Hamilton's going to feel after a couple of days off. Well, he's answered them questions emphatically.
Hasn't he just? Let's talk about what Andy's done this week. 15 games played.
Second leg is leader through first.
Have been won for a very impressive win percentage of 73.33%. Of all of the players who have made it to Saturday night, that is the most impressive ratio. Running average just over the 90 mark, which is very impressive. His best performance in an individual game, 100.74, 23 maximums. But I have to say this, he's already got himself a maximum tonight.
57.
And he is, out of all of the players tonight, the most likely to get maximums based on what's happened this week.
Does that mean by that token he could be the most likely to get the second 9-darter of the week?
I don't know. It would be good if we got our second 9-darter of the week, but I'm not going to count my pigeons.
I suppose that is the next step now for the Super Series. We had our first 9-darter in this new venue.
48.
We now need our first 9-darter in this competition in front of a crowd. We're laying down the gauntlet for our players this evening.
26.
It could be very likely. We haven't just had a 9-darter this week. We've had a lot of really good attempts. Kevin Painter got 7 perfect darts in a match. And we saw Steve Brown earlier the week miss double 18, and that was before Conor Heneghan even got one.
140.
Hamilton is in a very good place. He's throwing so accurately. But as for Shewan, debut week here at the MODUS Super Series.
108.
And he gets a maximum himself. Good match to start things off. This crowd encapsulated.
Certainly getting into it, and Lee Shewan was certainly getting into it as well. You can see the celebration in front of the crowd as they roared on that 180. There's another roar as well. That's his second of the match. Andy Hamilton is averaging 120.
Lee Shewan is really enjoying this game. He's already tapped his thigh after that 11-dart start from Andy Hamilton. He understands that this is a really fun place to play. But on the flip side, he knows how difficult this game is. You only get 2 games in the group stage. If you get a bad start, you're in trouble.
I had a chat with Lee's partner, Kirsty, who's in the crowd this evening, and she was saying that for Lee, this is a bonus being here tonight, and he's just going to take everything as it comes.
And he has been to a finals night before, but he is not a previous weekly winner.
Lee 58.
That will be something he'll want to correct tonight. He will want to be part of the Champions Week. Double top for Shewan.
Game shown the second leg.
Got his chance, took it 1 leg all in our first game of the night.
Because it would be very easy for Lee Shewan to be bogged down by the brilliance of Andy Hamilton at the start, but he's just hung in there, got given the opportunity, and when it presented itself, he took it to full effect. Good game to open up our night. And the good darts are continuing from the hammer.
140.
Just a little bit of a stat pack for all of you late night dartists. We've got 2 debutants from this
54.
week in the finals tonight. We've got 3 players who came through Group A in some way, shape or form. Andy, of course, won that. We've got 2 second chances. So when it comes to stage 1, which is what this is, 12 weeks of qualifying, we've
61.
got 2 players tonight in Conan Whitehead and Ryan Furness who are having their final chance at getting to the Champions Week. And we have 2 previous
96.
Saturday night winners from what was the Live League before this. Ryan Furness has won 1 weekly title. Conan Whitehead has won 3 in the last 18 months.
And I just get the sense, Paul, that this week it's so hard to prize a winner. Most weeks are hard to pick out, but you usually have one name in the back of your mind that you think has got a really good chance. All 6 of them, I feel, are so evenly matched this week.
They are. I think there's a couple of horses tonight who
96.
may feel that they are the people to beat, and maybe Whitehead and Andy Hamilton. That's how I see it anyway. But when you look at what these players have done this week, at times we could be in for some rip-roarers.
48.
There's a hush, which we've gotten used to this week over the Modus Live Lounge, but great order from our Saturday night crowd.
156.
Hamilton, who's not as accurate as leg 1. Maybe the adrenaline has just come down a little few percent. 156 is not going to go, and Shewan will get his first opportunity of breaking the hammer.
100.
But he's going to have to do it courtesy of the 155. In a sense, it'll have to go with Hamilton back on 56, and he is going to have a go at it for a 2-1 lead. He hasn't missed a double yet. Admittedly, he's only had a double. 46. That was for the 11 dart leg in the opener.
Safe 16 for tops.
16.
Missed the guide.
109.
A little ooh from the crowd. All Andy needed to do there was hit that barrel, and it would have just slid down into that tops bed. The 57 is not found by Shewan, so he's had
52.
6 visits to break the hammer in leg number 3. That is a chance missed.
And so Hamilton for a 2-1 lead, and we should mention as well tonight, legs are just as important as wins because you've only got 2 group games. Tots of Hamilton goes below, so along to double 10. That's a wide, double 5.
35.
And there wasn't really much conviction in those darts. The third one was the best thrown of the lot, but they all come and go, and so Shewan has the opportunity for the break of throw and a 2-1 lead.
This is a freebie. He's got to take advantage of it.
37.
But he can't.
And you require 5.
Edgiest leg of the contest so far. Maybe a sign that they understand what's on the line tonight. Money, a Champions Week spot, the chance to come back in just a few weeks. double one. It's in there. It doesn't matter whether it's an 11 darter or whether it's a 24 darter. You're going to get the raw. Do I dare say it, Henry? Do the raw.
Fourth leg leader through
and
first.
so Hamilton halfway there towards victory against Lee Shewan in the opening game of the night. And again, chatting with Lee's other half, Kirsty, earlier, has mentioned that they was thinking about potentially travelling up overnight to Bridlington to play in the British Open tomorrow. They've decided now against doing it, and it shows the options available and how important this Super Series is, because Lee's in a position in terms 65. Of qualification for the WDF World Championships next year, where he's hanging around the cusp of qualification, and the British Open holding gold ranking points. He could potentially sacrifice a spot at Lakeside to play here.
Is that a measure of just how much he's enjoyed the last couple of days? I think it has to be. 4 180s in this game now. And if you had a little wager on more than 2.5 180s in this opening match, you are quids in. But let me remind you all that if you are having a flutter on anything tonight, it is for over 18s only.
40.
Please gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org is the website you need for more information on that.
Indeed.
Best effort for Andy Hamilton when he's been here before is a 3rd position.
43.
That was back in week 4 of phase 2 this year, on a night where Josh Payne won and he beat Nick Kenny in the final. And the other person on that 59. Night who made it to the semi-finals, Kieran Tian. He's already in Champions Week in this stage, and he was the first winner here at the Modus Live Lounge 2 weeks ago.
History that will never be taken away from him. And everyone wants to be the first to do something.
Yep, Heneghan was the first for the 9. Tian was the first winner.
40.
Pick your category and see if you can be the first to do something.
Write your name on the Hall of Fame.
Well, who's going to be the first to win a Champions Week?
139.
In this building? That would be something to have. For me, the person who does that needs a photo on some sort of wall here. Are you getting the feeling, Henry, that this game's going to go all the way? Because we've already had 4 maximums.
85.
And this is only
Lee
leg 4.
40.
And as Shewan wants tops, now down for double 10.
Pins
it, levels us up at 2 apiece. The importance here is Andy Hamilton got off to a flying start, averaging around 120 after the first couple of legs. Hamilton's plateaued, but he's plateaued to the level that Shewan was during that period where Hamilton was running away with things.
And you may be asking, why has Hamilton got the throw? It's very simple. He won Group A, and one of the benefits of winning Group A was getting the darts in this first match. 5th maximum of the first game 59. Of the night. I didn't think we'd see this many 180s in this game.
The 180 cards are being put to full use. It may be put to full use again.
Oh, 140.
What he was thinking right there was don't leave it short. And he split the posts. He even missed the fist pump.
The crowd were allowed to boo that time, by the way.
Yeah, that's the only time they're allowed to boo.
Indeed. All good order here.
Just for a few
100.
seconds. One thing that happened today is that these guys both got the memo. They're wearing very similar shirts.
Yes, looking good in purple. It's an appropriate colour at the moment with everything that's going on in the world.
81.
Now Shewan can break the hammer in this match. I suppose we'll have to start calling him Thanos.
And you require 100.
Isn't he the only person who could crush Thor's hammer?
Think so, yeah.
We'll have to gen up on that one.
60.
That is a really intelligent dart, you know. If you think that that dart slipped out of his hand, think again. Andy Hamilton did not want to bust that score.
140.
So he went for
And
the
you
small
grant 40.
20. That was very wily.
The old campaigner showing his old tricks. Double 10. He's had a few difficulties on tops today. And he's had one or two missed doubles and double 10 as well. But double 5 will be a friend. And look at what it means to Andy Hamilton.
The more I think about it, the more this place is made for him.
I'm
Six-leg
loving
leader to
every
the
single
first.
second
Game
of
on.
this. We saw yesterday with Conan Whitehead getting really emotional on the stage. Tonight's going to be made for him. Tonight is made for
140.
Huddersfield. They are just going to express themselves.
Absolutely. Give them a vehicle to do that. Whilst they're making some very decent money as well. Getting to the finals tonight gives them a guaranteed £500.
140.
But if you can make it to the semi-finals, that will more than double to 1,250. You make the final, it's 2,500, but at the end of the rainbow tonight, it's £5,000. So what you could do is take what you've guaranteed for getting here and times it by 10. Then, if you can do a really good thing during Champions Week, you could then times that by 4.
100.
Because there's £20,000 for the person who wins that. This is year-changing money for whoever's going to get that.
Theoretically,
100.
the final is a £22,500 match because £2,500 difference between the winner and runner-up, plus you'll be playing for the 20 at Champions Week.
More than anything else in sport, we talk a lot about winning fixtures, especially in individual sports like this.
60.
What the players are more concerned with, Henry, is the opportunity of what they could do afterwards. It's all well and good winning £5,000 tonight. If that was it, and that was the end of the rainbow, you'd think,
36.
oh, that's really great, really happy. But the opportunity that comes after that, that's what these guys are more interested in than the money. They want to be the first person to get that Champions League title. Are we going to get a sixth 180? No, we're not.
139.
For a second there, I just thought, because some people are starting to do this now, they're starting to leave 21 because they want to just get down to a very small number. They're forgetting about leaving things like 62 by going downstairs. I'm starting to see that more and more and more now.
139. And you require 62.
For the match, for the opening rubber of the evening, and to put him onto 2 points, which gives himself the best possible chance of progressing to the semi-finals. One dart at double 16.
46.
And that's as close as it gets without
50.
going in.
Everything has been a hold of throw so far. To continue that trend,
Game shown on the
we have it from Shewan.
Lee Shewan.
The cobbler takes us to leg 7. Match played in a tremendous spirit.
Seventh and final leg is handy.
It's going to be Hamilton who has the advantage of throw in the 7th leg, and as Paul rightly alluded to, it's been more than effective for the player throwing first. We haven't yet had a break, but for Lee Shewan, he'll be hoping, well, if we're going to have one in the game, we might as well have it in the last leg. There's no right of apply then.
81.
And this is a crucial leg. The winner gets onto 2 points. They're halfway towards progressing through to the next round. The loser then has work to do in their last game.
140.
Shewan will play the next game in this group. That's game 3 against Ryan Furness. Hamilton, because he won Group A, has the luxury of knowing what the scenario is by the time he plays his final game of the group. That's game 5 against Ryan Furness. And he may think the scenario is win, he's in because he's hit yet another match. It's his 4th of the game.
Well, we said it, didn't we, at the start of the match? Based on statistics from this week,
123.
he was the most likely to find 180s. He's backing that up by getting 4 in his opening match tonight. But he would bin all of those for the 2 points.
Because the follow-up to the 180 can be as important as the
60.
maximum because he's come up dry. And it's offered up the opportunity for Lee Shewan 6 on 238, but he's going to have to get a couple of trebles now. Well, not that side anyway.
40.
And so it is advantage Hamilton again.
You can see how that made him feel. These are the times where you find out what kind of mental state you're in the clinch. We're talking, he might go for a small 20 again, but he might try and get this super high. That's the risk. Is that a 20?
120.
It wasn't in. That was so lucky. You can see from Hamilton's reaction. When have you ever seen him react that way in any point in his career? That was the luckiest start I've seen this week.
That was a dart that you may as well just put in a roulette wheel because any outcome was possible.
Well, earlier in the game, he went for small 20 when he had 60 left. Why didn't he do it again? Well, you've had your fortune, Andy. Fortune favours the brave. Tops for the win.
And that is in for Andy Hamilton. And it is hammer time here at the Super Series. He gets his Saturday campaign off to a 4-3 victory against Lee Shewan with a 91.95 average. Look at that. 4 maximums to his name. 4 from 30 on the checkouts. High out of 60. When we return after the break, we're going to be kicking off the action in Group B. It's Conor Heneghan against Conan Whitehead. And that's in a few seconds' time.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Andy Hamilton has just roared to victory in his first match of the night. A 4-3 success against Shewan. 4 180s in there for the Hammer, but almost one that he didn't want. It could have been so much more dramatic at the end there. Hamilton getting away with that 180 when he needed 140. The dart just sliding away from the other two. Paul Nicholson and Henry will talk to you a bit more about that one in a few moments. But let's move to Group 2 now. And Conor Heneghan is taking on Conan Whitehead. Heneghan has been the star of the week and did this earlier this week. A couple of maximums followed by that 1-4-1 finish, getting the Holy Grail, the 9-darter, the first one on that stage here at the Super Series. And you can see what it meant to him. Steve Brown had missed the double earlier in the week, but Heneghan hit his second 9-darter in this event, joining Martin Adams and James Richardson in doing that. As for Conan Whitehead, well, he had to do it the hard way last night. After losing to Heneghan in his first match, he won his final 3 to seal a spot at finals night tonight. And he let out an almighty roar when he got there as well. He'll certainly rival the Hammer roar this evening. So who will be drawing first blood in Group 2? Will it be Conan or Conor? Let's find out. Over to Paul Hinks.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. We'll now welcome our players for match 2 of the evening. First of all, please put your hands together and welcome on stage Conor Heneghan and the Barbarian Conan Whitehead.
Fans, and welcome back to Saturday night in front of a crowd here at the MODUS Live Lounge. It's time for Group 2 action. Andy Hamilton has taken the lead in Group 1 with that 4-3 win over Shewan, but now we turn our attention to Group 2 with with Moreno Blom and Conan Whitehead. Like Chris Murphy said at the top of this match, the star of the week, you would say, has been Conor Heneghan, getting the 9-darter and putting in the best performance of the week as well. We'll talk more about that in a second. But one of the best players that we've had over the last 18 months is his opponent in this first game of the night. And they're playing, Henry, their 3rd game of the week.
Indeed they are. And Conor Heneghan holds a 2-0 lead in their personal battles. Actually the only 2 times that they've ever played in competition. You get the sense that Group 2 is intriguing for a number of different reasons. You've got Heneghan, who, if you look at statistics, has probably been the best player this week. He's at the most maximums, really good checkout percentage, really good overall average. Conan Whitehead, who
100
didn't pick up the points on Thursday night, but played well enough. Actually has the highest running average of the 6 players that take part in finals night tonight. And then Moreno Blom,
78.
who at times has been spellbinding. Going into yesterday, he was second bottom of the table, goes on to win the group as an 80-1 outsider, and you just get the sense as the week's gone on, he's found his straps.
Yeah, just to re-emphasize what Henry's just said, he's 100% accurate. 80, not 18, 80-1 yesterday morning to win Group C, and he won it. Nobody saw it coming, not even Moreno Blom. But Heno
100
came through Group A first. He was second in that, so he went into Group B, where he played with Conan Whitehead, who finished 3rd
60
in the group. The group, obviously, that Conor won. I like that you also said that Heno's won both of their battles so far. Both of them were 4 legs to 3, and both of them left
96
Conan Whitehead in a really tough spot. This has got every likelihood to be as good as the first game, 79. But Heno's getting the best start of the 2. Single 20 for tops. Well, that negates the possibility of a bust shot because he finds the tops and the 10s. Shall we talk about that dart for Andy Hamilton then. It was probably the luckiest one of the week. He had 180 left. He's got 2 treble 20s. Tries to hit a dart over the top. And he somewhat fortunately snags against his own flights and stems and doesn't register any points, but he could have easily bust that 180. And from that point, if he had, he might have lost that match.
Because Shewan was in at that point, but it reminded me of that 180 bust that Dirk van Dijvenbode had at the World Championship all those years ago against Raymond van Barneveld. And as you say, he was so lucky because early on in the match, he went low on the 20 bed. And you just felt because the first 2 darts were standing up to attention, there's always a risk and always a danger if you go high. As he did with the dart, he's always going to catch it, and the risk of the bust was always imminent.
It actually happens a lot more often than you think. I'm going to go proper hipster on you now. 2008 Australian Open at White Eagle House in Geelong. You're going to think I'm crazy for bringing this up, but the first time I ever saw it was Steve Duke Sr. against Steve MacArthur.
93.
2 of the best Australian players at the time. And in the last leg of the match, Steve Duke bust 180 by hitting the maximum by accident, and MacArthur won the match. I've always remembered that. The response here from Whitehead has been excellent, leaving the finish after 12, and he's got the equivalent of 4 tons.
The perfect 15, some call this. But it's not going to go, and it gives Heneghan a sniff at the 136.
79. Conor Heneghan 136.
This is for a break of foe and an early 2-0 lead. And as I mentioned in the first game, in this format, victories are great. Big victories
60.
Almost guarantee you a place in the semi-finals with a game to spare. As Heneghan splits the 22, goes 6-8-8, and perfect in that department and level us up at 1 apiece. And I think you were on commentary for this a couple of months ago when Josh Payne won his first game by 4-0. He was through before he had to play his second game with a group.
Yeah, that's true. It does happen every now and again, but not very often.
135.
Conan Whitehead is the most experienced player of anybody playing tonight. He's playing his 174th game
36.
Since we started in the Southampton studio in the early part of 2021.
Can't mention 174 without saying good evening to our good friend Anthony Dundas.
I concur. Haven't seen him in ages. Where you at, Ant?
100.
Get yourself down here. We might let you in.
Love to hear what that booming 174 on that stage.
Yeah, nobody calls a 174 like Anthony
46.
Dundas.
He might break some of the old church windows, but
I'll let you tell him that. Whitehead, who has to break Heneghan in this game, is up against it. Again, the reason why Hino's got the darts in this first match is because he won his group over the last couple of nights. And he's playing pretty well.
95.
They've played better this week, but I'm not surprised to see a game where the averages are in the 80s because there's a lot on the line tonight. Whitehead is on his second chance. If he does not get through tonight, he will not 100% be at Champions Week. If Hino does not get through, if a spot opens up, if someone can't make it for whatever reason, he might get the call.
What you want to do as a consequence is make sure if you don't win, make sure you make the final, because it'll give you the best possible chance of a second invitation, perhaps.
That's correct. We must say that. It's really unfortunate for someone like Dave Tallett, who's been in 2 finals and lost 2 finals.
Well, Heneghan will be hoping to get to the final and win the whole thing in his first chance. The double 10 puts him halfway towards winning his first game of the evening inside 18. Whitehead has the advantage of throw in leg 4, and have I spotted someone in the crowd doing the YMCA?
Conan to throw first, game on.
Don't ask me why.
Don't worry, I've seen worse on a Saturday night in Pompey.
I'm sure you have.
I've usually been the one on the... it's usually me doing it.
Trust me, Henry, if we need some inside information about the home venue, I'm going to ask you.
Oh, there's been some terrible dance moves in and around this city. Courtesy of my feet.
There's been some terrible dance moves on dart stages over the years. And I'm not exempt from that, unfortunately.
140.
Isn't there a video of you circling around the circus tavern?
Let's move on. Before we even get there.
84.
Conor Heneghan, we talked about making finals. He's made a couple this year. One of the previous phases in the other venue, he made the final. And then in the Champion of Champions week, in the middle portion of July, he made the final there where he lost to Jim McEwen.
96. Conor Heneghan, 81.
He knows how to navigate his way through to the final, but he hasn't found his way to the end of the rainbow yet. This game is following a very similar pattern to that of the last one. I think this crowd
45.
is going to get their money's worth when it comes to legs tonight.
Which is good because it's free admission here at the Super Series. And as Paul's mentioned, we haven't
140.
seen break and throw yet tonight. And we're not going to see it yet because Conan Whitehead levels us up at 2 apiece. And Heneghan has the advantage of throwing the 5th, and we're going with the story of the night. Well, he's going to win it. Whitehead will win the next, and Heneghan will win the decider.
Let Conor to throw first. Game on.
These are two of the players who have registered 3-figure averages this week. Heneghan's personal best was bettered. Now before, a couple of nights ago, his personal best was 109.31, but he put a good 6 points on that
81.
On Thursday night with 2 performances, one 115.62, then his next match he went over 107 with the 9-darter in
43.
that one. But is it fair for me to say that when his patch was purple, in some of the other games he went
40.
to dust? He was very hot and cold.
Indeed he was. Thursday night, the first game, low average, then the 2 big ones, and then he
96.
finished off the night with a substandard average and potentially could have finished up the opening night only on 2 points. That was the incredible thing
100.
about it, and it was a 1-2-4 checkout to win the deciding leg against Whitehead, which is the reason why he was on 6 points following the conclusion of the opening night's play.
Is Conan's
66.
week going to be defined by his matches with Heneghan? It just seems to me
26.
like there's so much pressure on Conan when Conor's throwing first, and he just hasn't found a decent scoring leg in the odd-numbered legs yet. Hino's just having too much time to negotiate his own throw. Double top for a 3-2 lead.
76.
Now this is where you want to be on something like 72 or at least 101 just to have an opportunity of getting that break, but on 254
98.
you can do nothing.
Conor Heneghan, 40.
And he's only left himself on 156. Double 10. Double 5.
30.
And that is where
Conor Heneghan,
scoreboard pressure
156.
could have seriously come into play.
Well, his biggest finish of the week is 160, Conan. 3 people have got that one. I'll tell you what, there's some pressure now. This is not a gimme. But it is a double that invites the guide.
Who
needs guides?
Conor Heneghan.
When Heneghan is starting to brim with confidence. He didn't strike me a few months ago as the kind of player that would revel in a stage atmosphere like this. I thought he was a Mark Walsh type player. Just get on with it, don't show your emotion. But we saw a different side to him come Thursday. It was as if he was so hurt by losing Group A by 2 points that he thought, Thursday I'm going to go in there and I'm going to demand that I win Group B. And he became a different animal.
And again, we asked the question last night, how is he going to react with a crowd on stage? Because he hasn't played in this type of environment much. Well, this is your answer. 2 maximums. Could it be more? Could it be more?
140.
That would have been for the third consecutive night it'd be on it.
For some reason, I had take that's could it be magic going in my head when you started saying that, Henry. I don't know whether that's something to do with me or whether it's the playlist we've been playing here in between matches.
43.
Which is nicely retro. Well, we have to pay homage to you, Henry, and I'm going to pay homage to myself at the same
81.
time, because yesterday in this fixture, I tipped that there would be more than 2.5 180s. They had 7.
140.
We are 5.5
Conor
legs
Heneghan,
into this one.
100.
There have been 3, and you tipped with the Sporty Stuff TV crew earlier that there would be more than 2.5 180s in this fixture, and it has happened again.
45.
Thank you for letting me copy your homework.
That's only because I copied yours with Ryan Furness playing somebody in the last fixture last night,
60.
but I got that drastically
Conor
wrong.
Heneghan, 55.
Conor for the win then. He's looking to get the first breaker throw of the night.
And how timely it would be. Double 10. To
Game
seal a
seven
4-2
tonight.
victory for
Conor
Conor Heneghan. And he opens up his night with victory against Conan Whitehead by 4 legs to 2 with an average of 89.2. 2 maximums to his name, 4 from 10 on the checkouts, a high out of 79. 2 points to his name. He's halfway towards the semi-finals, which means Conan Whitehead's got work to do when he takes on Moreno Blom in his next match. But what we're going to do now, we're going to head back to Group 1, and that sees Lee Shewan in action. He lost out 4-3 to Andy Hamilton in his opener. He takes on Ryan Furness, making his debut on the Super Series Saturday night stage.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where it's Happy Hamilton and Happy Heneghan so far after the first couple of matches. Conor Heneghan winning the first game in Group 2, defeating Conan Whitehead 4-2. The double 10 he hit to win that match was the first break of throw we've had so far this evening. It is already looking like it is going to be a closely contested finals night. Coming next, we're going to take a look at Ryan Furness for the first time tonight. Furness, who's shown us what he's all about. Here he is, taking out 310 in just 6 starts earlier this week against Conor Heneghan. Brilliant stuff from Ryan Furness. He takes on Shewan in the second match of Group 1, and already it is a very important contest, because if Shewan loses it, he goes out. A win for Furness would see him advance alongside Andy Hamilton. So we'll get the action underway. Will Furness progress, or will he be tripped up by the cobbler? Let's find out. Paul and Henry in comms, and Paul Hinks will get the players on the stage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals Night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. Match 3 of our evening, please welcome to the stage the players, the cobbler, Shewan, and his opponent, Ryan Furness.
And so we see the resumption of Group 1, and it's a first run out of the evening for Ryan Furness, who seems to be a very popular man inside the auditorium, up against Shewan, who has to win to keep his hopes of qualifying for the semi-finals alive. Furness, as we say, we haven't seen so far, but it sounds as if we're going to hear his vocal support this evening.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Henry. He's brought some people with him. You can see on the right-hand side of your monitor there that a lot of the people are smiling at Ryan, because it looks like those guys are all from the Salisbury area. Now, if you think just because he's using an old set of my darts that I'm going to be pitching for Ryan Furness, I am firmly sitting on the fence in this one, because we do have to give you what is very clear in Group 1. Like you said, Henry, if Shewan loses this game,
87.
He will be out in equal 5th position. Ryan Furness will be through with a win, but if indeed he does win, it will be a shootout between himself and Andy Hamilton for the top spot come game number 5. I wonder if Shewan's going to walk off left again, because if he does, 45. He might get a telling off by the referee. He's supposed to go off the other way, Lee.
You'll get used to it over time.
96.
And of course, when you're new to the televised stages, it's one of those things that you don't think about on the floor. You're walking any which direction you want, as long as it's not across the occupant putting your opponent off, of course, but...
60.
Well, one of the reasons why he might do that is because you can see from that camera there that Ryan is standing right of centre, and one of the natural reactions for a dart player is to try and stay out of the way of the player, out of respect
87.
for their next turn. He's not using it as a tactic. He's not like that. He was just trying to do his opponent a bit of a favour. But now we've got to do himself a favour. He's got to start finding that inner ring with regularity, because one thing that Ryan Furness has done the last couple of nights in Group B is start well. He's won his opening game convincingly both times.
I think the question mark is in terms of where Ryan Furness is consistency. So Thursday night, his averages were 90.74, followed by 95.61. The second half of the night, 79.52 and 77.83.
I think we should talk about what he did at the end of last night as well. At the end of this leg, because there is the end of the leg. He's definitely the home favourite tonight. If Scott Walters had made it, he may have had even more support.
Second leg, Ryan to
Scott Walters in Group C. We have to say hello to Scott, because unfortunately after a perfect Thursday, he wasn't able to find one win on
55.
Friday, meaning he's not here. So we'll have to wait until possibly stage 2 to see him again. But when it came to the final game last night, we all thought that maybe, based on Thursday's behaviour for Ryan,
121.
that his engine was starting to stutter a little bit towards the end of the sessions. And we feared the worst, didn't we? But you have to give him a lot of credit. In his game last night, he went up against Conor Heneghan, the already winner of Group B, and he put in a 95 average in a 4-0 display to punch
100.
his ticket to tonight. And I was on the balcony with Chris Murphy watching down on that game, and the relief that we saw from Ryan Furness was palpable.
136.
Just to get through. He really wanted to be here.
And of course, of his crowd alongside him as well. That's an opportunity which, again, similar to
54.
Shewan, similar to Moreno Blom, similar to Conor Heneghan, they haven't really had before. And it was interesting when he won that first leg. We could feel the FUD from the commentary box, the roar and the vibrations
57.
and the elations from his dedicated support.
It's a good job this place has been here a while, so it's well rooted into the ground. If we're going to get people stomping their feet and showing support
44.
that way, this place is going to shake a bit. Ryan Furness has hit the least amount of maximums coming into Saturday night, only 7. But then again, he's only played 8 games. It's still not a bad ratio.
137.
In fact, his ratio is pretty much identical to that of Lee Shewan.
Who needs to get a wriggle on here, because Ryan Furness could
57.
go
Round
2-0 up in
60.
next to no time, and there is a huge disparity in the averages, about 25 points, give or take. Tops the 2-0, and Ryan Furness doubles up his lead, and his fan base in the crowd are very much rooting for him in his corner, making their voices heard at the right times, we should say as well.
Yeah, you will get a bit of a talking to from our stage referee, Paul Hinks, if you do something out of turn.
100.
But this is a difficult game for Lee Shewan, because Ryan's playing decent stuff. He's averaging over 97.
140.
He's just clicked over to the 100 mark in the early portion of leg 3, but I suppose if you're going to come to Portsmouth and play against people from
58.
this county, you are going to be playing an away game. Now, I know all about away games. I've never really had a home game in my career. I've played
100.
in Lee Shewan's backyard in Blackpool against Wes Newton. I know how that feels.
Be lucky no one from Plymouth is playing here tonight.
85.
Let's not go there.
I'd rather not talk League One today. Me and Chris have already had our fair share.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Newcastle Bournemouth either.
105.
Somewhat disappointing 1-1 draw. But here's the thing about darts: you get a score every couple of minutes.
95.
That's why people love this game. It's rapid fire stuff. Lee has not done himself any favours, leaving 163, and Ryan Furness has got 6 from 156.
58.
Not really enough, you feel. Shewan needs to find this in 2 visits, if he gets that second visit, of course.
93. Ranu Khan, 98.
And this is for 3-0. We could have seen the double 19 come into play. It's been one of the most popular doubles in the group. Well, that's a wide.
He was trying to use that treble 20 for double 9. That's the kind of thing that Simon Whitlock would do. Single 20 leaves tops.
50.
Very fine margins between that dart
58.
and the requisite bed. I mentioned Whitlock. He actually lives in this county, not far from here. So maybe his behaviours are starting to rub off on other people. Double 10 for Ryan Furness.
48.
Big chance for 3-0 missed.
And this is to get Shewan back in the game. Remember, he has to win this game. Otherwise, he is eliminated from the competition. That's awkward.
And
that's in.
Lee Shewan.
And the way the first dart went in, he wouldn't have seen much of that, would he? And so to curl it round the corner and into the bed, that was some doing. It took some doing from Lee Shewan, and he's back to 2-1.
I reckon that's a bit of a lob. When you've got somebody at the net you think, well, the passing shot is out because they've got the net covered, so there's only one shot left.
60.
The lob across the top. I suppose that's in homage to the greatest tennis player that's ever lived in Roger Federer, who retired this week, which
40.
has made us all a little bit sad, actually. But nothing ever lasts forever.
No, and I'm going to conclude our weekly segment of me making you feel old.
99.
I was 18 months old when he won that first Wimbledon in 2001.
What you can hear are tumbleweeds
100.
going by. This is what happens when you've got a 15-year pro career and you start doing media, and then you've got these young whippersnappers coming in making jokes like that.
92.
It'll happen to you in about 20 years, Henry. It'll happen to you.
96.
Just wonder if Ryan Furness, after that initial adrenaline burst of getting on the stage
60.
for the first time here at the Modus Live Lounge in front of fans, whether things have just calmed down a little bit too much. Needs to do something to boost him again.
95.
That's good thinking from Lee. First to the finish, and in a week where we've seen an awful lot happen. We've seen a venue record average-wise, 115.62 for Conor Heneghan. We've had a 9-darter from him as well. We haven't had a 170 this week, and we're not going to get one here.
And you mentioned a second ago, Ryan Furness could just
45.
do with doing something that will get his effective home crowd up. That was exactly what he did with the 134. It leaves him on 56, where he's got the double 16 with the first start. That wasn't intended, but a double 12 was, and he's one away from the victory line here against Lee Shewan. And importantly as well, if he can get it done at this juncture, he would have a superior legs difference over Andy Hamilton, and that would make life much easier for him in terms of finishing top of Group 1, giving him the advantage in the semi-finals because he'd play the runner-up of Group 2. But the priority here is to get that win over Shewan, who has the darts in leg 5.
But you mentioned Josh Payne in the previous game. Imagine the relief that you would have of getting through to the semi-finals with a game to spare. That's one of the reasons why this format is so cutthroat in the semi-finals. You think, it's only 2 games on Saturday night. You worked so hard to get here. But this is the way it's got to be. It makes it exciting for the fans. It makes it exciting for you guys watching at home on Sporty Stuff TV as well.
100.
If you don't play well in 2 games, you are going to go home.
It's the only danger of the 4-0 that you may possibly lose that adrenaline in your second game, and then you've got to get yourself back up for a semi-final, which is worth a lot.
Yeah, but I suppose when you think about the experience of these players throughout the week, they're used to the ups and downs of winning and losing. Nobody comes into Saturday night undefeated. Nobody's ever done that before. Closest we've seen was Jim McEwen a few weeks back. He won 14 of 15 games in Group A, and he did not win on the Saturday night. That was Darryl Pilgrim who won that 46. Saturday night. But that leads to me something which is very important. We could be coming to the end of this game, but of all of the 7 players who have banked their Champions Week spots so far, only one of them was a player who won Group A that week. That was Graham Hall. The rest of them have come from a different avenue. Is that bad news for Andy Hamilton?
Yeah, soon to find out, and it could be the end of the road for Lee Shewan here at the Super Series. He's been a fantastic addition to our lineup this week. He is going to get one more chance at the 109. How handy can Furness leave it from here?
100.
Very much so, and the 109 has to go.
He's going to have to shoehorn his way to a 2-3 deficit. Things are desperate. One chance is all he will get. Double top.
69.
Terrific try. But listen to the noise. If this goes in, this is for the semis.
No score. Lee require 40.
The despair. Double 10. Double 5. You can sense the anxiety from Ryan's opponent.
30. Ryan,
It maybe just isn't meant to be, as Ryan gets a second crack of the whip.
But Shewan returns. He would not have expected another opportunity. And he takes full advantage. But now he has to break Furness. There was almost a waving of the hand is in for apology there from Lee Shewan. Don't apologise. You had to get that to stay in the competition.
Six-leg Ryan.
Funny things have happened
Game on
Saturday nights before, but one thing that's never happened is a 9-dart shootout. If players cannot be separated on points in a group, if they cannot be separated by leg difference or legs won, we have that magical separator
96.
called the 9-dart shootout, whether that's between 2 players or 3. It's never happened before. It might happen tonight.
55.
That would be fun.
Very fun. But for that to happen, Lee Shewan has to win this game for free.
140.
Is the mindset of Ryan Furness now? He's had those 6 mismatched darts, 5 of them at tops. And now he's starting to find wires and darts colliding with his other ones and finding the floor. What's his mindset right now? Because if I was in his shoes, I'd be thinking, have I had my chance? You've got to somehow swipe those thoughts away
97.
and get your mojo back quickly. The clock is ticking.
And is this potentially the other side of him having a lot of supporters in here? Okay, it roars him on and it gives him almost
92.
that 4th dart mentality. But now he'll have this pressure to perform.
There is a pressure to perform. One of the reasons why I very rarely took anybody
60.
to my big matches is because I didn't want them to be watching from close quarters. That's just the way I like to think about it. But his supporters are in spitting distance. That's very
34.
close, and that's 2 darts he's had in this leg on the floor after colliding with his own flight.
And both would have been in the treble 20 bed. So by that token, he would have been on a ton right now. For Lee Shewan, he wants double 14, and we're going all the way. Ryan Furness had a number of darts for the match. They came and went, and Lee Shewan has taken advantage of his opportunities. A 108 at the perfect time, and we're going to a 7th and deciding leg, and it is Shewan who has the darts, and suddenly we may have a new favourite for this match.
Game
I
on.
think we do now. The momentum has swung. He must win this leg to stay in Saturday night. And that's how you start. You can hear the hearts breaking in the front row. Look at the bright side.
60.
Because there is one. Ryan Furness could still qualify. If he loses this game, he could still beat Andy Hamilton and get through. Andy Hamilton is not safe at all. First game was 4-3 to Andy. If it's 4-3 Shewan, then 4-3 Furness,
95.
we would have that 9-dart shootout. And we're already going quite late this evening. None of these games are going quickly. Tonight's going to be a late one. Stay with us.
And look how Shewan's made the run towards the line here, leaving 95 after 9. He is going to return
46.
for one more chance, but he's only going to get 2 darts at double instead of 3.
He has had a couple of wild single shots towards the end of sessions over the last couple of days. What he needs now is a clean kill.
49.
Double 16. To win unexpectedly. Really well done. He took his chance, but ultimately you have to say that Ryan Furness fluffed his lines. But he will have one more chance to get himself into the next phase. He's going to have to win by 4-2 or better against Andy Hamilton in match number 5. 4-3 it is for Shewan. You see the averages there and the checkout percentages. They weren't the best, but what a thrilling game that was. When we come back after the break, it's going back to Group 2. It's Conan Whitehead's last chance to get through. He's playing against Saturday night debutant Moreno Blom in a few short shakes.
Welcome back. Well, what a comeback that was before the break by Lee Shewan. 3-1 behind against Ryan Furness and going on to win the match 4-3. We'll take a look at the stats for that game. Shewan, as I said, came back from 3-1 behind. He was looking like he was out of the tournament, but that surge to win the game after Furness had missed opportunities. But Ryan Furness will still have the chance to go through. On to the next game. And Moreno Blom, who we haven't seen yet this evening, he got through against Lee Shewan remarkably. We just talked about a great escape from Shewan. Blom, an act of escapology for him. He came from losing 5 of his first 21 matches to winning his last 4 to book his place in finals night. He will take on Conan Whitehead, the other escape artist in the field tonight, and he has to wriggle out of trouble again here, having lost his first match to Conor Heneghan. If he loses, he's out. Blom goes through with Heneghan. If Whitehead can win, then it's all to play for in Group 2, just like it is in Group 1. Paul Hinks will get the slingers on the stage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals Night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. Please welcome our players to the stage for match 4. It's the Barbarian, Conan Whitehead, and Moreno Blom.
Game 2 of Group 2 between Conan Whitehead and Moreno Blom, and it's fair to say he enjoyed the walk onto the stage. And you could say, Paul Nicholson, that there's no limits as to what he can do this week. Struggled in Group A, but then when it came to Group C, he really found his straps on Friday here at the Super Series.
Yeah, very fair to say that he wasn't a fan of Group A, but like I said to you a little bit earlier in the night, Henry, he was treating Group A as a bit of work experience, because when Group A was all finished, what he was able to do was find his proper form towards the end of Group C. And if you speak to anybody who's got a decent level of experience here at this venue or the previous one, they would all say it doesn't matter what you do at the start, it's how you finish the week and whether you're actually here on Saturday night or not. Because there are great players who aren't from this week. Blom is here. That's the most important thing.
I feel like we've been on a journey with him this week. Started off on Monday, as we mentioned, he did have a couple of struggles, but whatever he did after the end of Group A and going into Group C, and even on Thursday, he got a couple of victories there as well.
96.
It has to be commended, because for such a young man to go and reset the button like that, you've got to give him a lot of credit.
I've learned a lot about him this week. I think everybody has. We knew minimal amounts about Blom before this week began. But the last 6 days have given us possibilities. He's given himself chances.
100.
But this game for me, with all due respect to Moreno, because he's making his first appearance here tonight,
56.
This game is all about Conan. If he loses, he's out. If he wins, he'll have to wait. Oh, it's a 160. It's been the number of the week.
140.
He's been the king of the brinksmanship this week. Getting his way through to Saturday night by the skin of his fingernails.
20.
He can't miss his chances when he gets them. That's 777. He wants that one back, but he can't have it. This is a real freebie now for Moreno Blom. He was thinking that the leg was over.
Moreno car 112.
What a chance.
And if anyone is going to take advantage of these opportunities, it's Moreno Blom, but it goes just underneath. And so Whitehead will return for the double 10 and takes full advantage this time.
He's an excitement machine, isn't he, Conan Whitehead? Doesn't do anything the easy way. And they are his words before anybody comes back at me.
Second leg Moreno to throw first. Game on.
He was on the gantry last night with Chris Murphy talking about that very thing.
121.
That's why he's so watchable. You know how things tend to happen where they say it in threes because they're like London buses. We've never had a 9-dart shootout. I wonder what the likelihood is that we might get 2 of them. Now, we have to communicate one thing to you before we go further in this match. In Group 1, with Hamilton, Shewan and Furness, Lee Shewan is not eliminated only on 2 points.
122.
No matter what happens in the next match. The only way he's now eliminated is through a 9-dart shootout.
100.
Now, I haven't seen that yet in my time in the booth. So we're getting firsts here on Saturday night, that's for sure.
100.
Could you imagine? Although I think you asked for one thing too much, we're going to get two. But then, as you say, London buses.
100. Moreno your car.
Decent leave after 12. I had a little chat with Moreno about his use of finishing in the last 48 hours. We'll talk about that more in the next leg because Conan's going for double eight. And that's in, that's clinical. And the break of throw, and there haven't been many of those tonight. But speaking to Moreno on the way back to the accommodation the other day, I was asking him about a certain number, and that number is 136.
Game on.
On multiple occasions this week, he's gone for 2 treble 17s and double 17. He pulled me on me calling him foolish.
16.
And I applauded him for that because I just wanted to know what he was doing. He firmly believes, because he's a very fast player, as you can see,
100.
that no matter what the finishing double, whether it makes tactical sense or not, he thinks that keeping all of his shots in a smaller target range is better for his game. That I can completely understand, which makes the 136 his way probably the right way.
78.
We see players that do things certain ways that completely changes the game forever. Could Moreno potentially be the one that changes 92. The way we look at target areas?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of chatter about it for starting legs in the World Grand Prix, trying to condense your start into certain corners of the board. Whitlock and Keegan Brown, both from this area of England. Whitlock obviously from Australia, but lives here. It's something that they have focused on in their careers, and it's not really a new thing, but maybe Moreno's taking it to the next level. 2 balls and double 16 would be something to bring these fans off their chairs.
48.
Moreno's going to light up a spark here on Saturday night. Maybe it'll be one of his trademark finishes. It's not going to happen this time, and it's
84.
Not as if he's playing badly. He's just being outscored in patches as Whitehead returns for the 84 double 12.
72. Moreno your car 24.
Gap between the double and those two darts does not please Conan.
Game shot on the third leg. Moreno
and his opponent finds that same double that has just been missed. A little bit of salt in the wound. The chance of 3-0 is gone, but Whitehead still retains the lead.
And the reason we are where we are is mainly because of the 140 plus department. Whitehead with 3 of them, Moreno Blom without a 140 plus so far in this game. In terms of the ton plus throws, they're fairly equal. In fact, Moreno Blom's had one more than Whitehead at 5-4, but it's been that department where Whitehead has been more lethal, and he's always found himself a score in front in legs.
Before tonight began, 42. Even though Blom did win Group C, he was the outside bet for winning tonight at 9-1. A lot of that might have been because of his weekly win percentage. That's down at 32%.
58.
But you and I talked about this earlier, Henry. I don't think you can look at that statistic and think that that is really ringing true. You have to take 100. His form from Group C more into account, because he won more than half of his games in that group. The Group A stuff was just experience. And what he did in Group C was much more effective than Group A. I think his odds were very wide for what he's done over the last 48 hours. This is brilliant from Whitehead. A really good response after a bad end to leg 3.
That's the second bounce out this leg on the treble 20 from Moreno Blom.
120.
But on both occasions, he's followed up with the third dart with a treble 20. That says a lot about his temperament.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
He's going to have to win the lot from here. 120 points on the floor, no doubt, made a huge difference in that leg. And Conan Whitehead has the darts to seal a 4-1 victory, which puts him in a healthy position to qualify.
Game on.
At the conclusion of this match, we will let you know what the permutations are in matches number 5 and 6. We'll have everything at our disposal, but it's kind of pointless at this stage to say what is something that the player needs to do in the next match, or what needs to happen in a match that they're not even playing in, which actually is the case for Conan. He won't play in match 6. Moreno will take on Conor Heneghan. It will be an anxious wait, whatever happens for Conan.
44.
These are one of the advantages, because all 3 group winners will play in the final game of the group. So they get the advantage to be in charge of their own destiny in that match. Conan won't. Likewise, Shewan won't.
If you were to ask me, Henry,
86.
would I rather play the first 2 games of the group or the second 2? I'd say the first 2. I'd want to get out there and put a marker down. I want to have the opportunity of winning the first 2 games and knowing that I'm through, and have that little
52.
break before the semi-finals. Semi-final 1 tonight will be the winner of Group 1, the winner of this group, against the runner-up from Group 2.
131.
You could have a scenario
69.
where someone stays on the board and plays 2 consecutive matches. Double 12. Whitehead too good. 4 legs to 1. And the most resounding victory of the night so far. The Barbarian swings the sword and cuts the head off Moreno Blom with a 93.49 average. The checkouts were decent. The only misses really in leg 3 didn't cost him in the end, and he does have a leg difference advantage over the other people in his group. When we come back, it will be the climax of Group 1 as Ryan Furness and Andy Hamilton go toe-to-toe. That 9-dart shootout is possible if Ryan Furness wins by 4 legs to 3. That's coming up after the break.
Welcome back, and Conan Whitehead has done it again, back from the brink, losing his first match, winning his second, and doing it so emphatically that means that he is through to the semi-finals. He's got 2 points, he's got a positive leg difference, that means he will go through, and Moreno Blom has it all to do when he takes on Conor Heneghan in the last match in Group 2. He has to win 4-1. In this match, well, this could be very interesting, because if it's 4-3 for Ryan Furness against Andy Hamilton, then we would get a 9-dart shootout. It would be the first time it's ever happened. That would be real darting drama on this Saturday finals night. Just waiting for the players to get on the stage and get the action started. But yeah, what a scenario that could be. Andy Hamilton winning his first match 4-3 against Shewan, and Shewan then beating Ryan Furness by the same scoreline. We are going to have a quick look now at which players are already through to Champions Week. Robert Owen, Chaz Barstow, Graham Hall, Daryl Pilgrim, Lee Evans, Kieran Tian and Graham Usher have all made it through. They will be joined by the winner of this evening's action, and then 4 more players. Week 13 will be Champions Week, and we're going to have a week where the winner will walk away with a record £20,000. Who will join them tonight? Well, this next match could have a big bearing on that. Andy Hamilton, well, that 120, I want us to see that again at some point. Remarkable stuff. The setup shot when he almost bust his score going for a 140. But as I said, a 4-3 win here for Ryan Furness would mean a 9-dart shootout at the end of the evening's action. The players are now on stage behind me, as you can see. Drama really boiling up, and there's no better duo than Paul Nicholson and Henry Deacon to talk you through it.
That's extremely kind of you, Chris. I knew I like you for a reason. Welcome back to Saturday Night Darts at the Modus Live Lounge then. And it's time to see who will go through group number 1, because our first person into the semis has been confirmed.
That worked.
Conan Whitehead is just really good at qualifying, isn't he? And he's really good at making the semi-finals as well. The most prolific player of the 6 on Saturday nights in Super Series darts has done it again. All of the pressure is now on Heneghan, and particularly Moreno Blom in Group 2. But before we get there, we have that possibility, don't we? It's got to happen at some point. It might be tonight. The 9-dart shootout would happen if and only if Ryan Furness wins by 4 legs to 3.
69.
It could possibly happen. It would be history here at the Super Series. Andy Hamilton will be hoping just to get a victory to avoid any darting drama. And in fairness, so will Lee Shewan. He doesn't want to get dragged back here, because as things stand, he is through with any result other than a 9-dart shootout.
The best you can hope for, really, is winning your first game of the night, like Andy did, and hoping that your second game is inconsequential. What we've got to say is that Andy really should think that he needs to win this match.
51.
Let's run you through all of the possibilities in this group then, because any Andy Hamilton win, he will top the group, and Lee Shewan will be second.
92.
A win for Ryan Furness by 4 legs to 0, 4-1 or 4-2 would ensure Andy's elimination. And a 4-3 win for Ryan, of course, gives us the 9-dart shootout.
121.
So that first win for Andy hasn't done him a massive amount of favours, really.
And he's had a lot of time to stew over. It's the biggest break that any player is going to get at any point this evening.
100.
And he's got fans in the crowd. His partner Chloe's here. She's from Hampshire. And I believe they've got some other people with them as well. So people to cheer you on, but also people that you don't want to let down. I know that players shouldn't think like that. I say it many, many times. Get on that stage, be yourself. Don't care about anybody else. Be single-minded. It's easier said than done. Double 16 for Furness. And he starts really well, getting one half of the crowd going, that's for sure. The people at the back, where Andy's crew are, silent for now.
They had something to cheer about in that first game, 4-3 victory against Shewan. But rather subdued at this present moment in time, but still in the early stages of this. But Andy's going to have to get a bit of a move on. Ryan Furness, 15 darts, which means that his average after leg one is 100.2. Hamilton back at 83 in these opening throws, and Furness is maybe finding something tonight. In his first game, even though he was defeated by Shewan, from 3-1 up, we should be hastened to add, an average of 83.47. That actually plummeted as a result of missed doubles for the match. 6 of them, in fact, against
59.
the Cobbler.
I just want to bring something up in the early stages of leg 2 here. And I think you will agree with me, Henry, without getting too detailed into it. But 6 darts were missed by Ryan Furness to win that first game for him tonight against Shewan. Those misses cost Ryan, but they also cost Hamilton. Because if they went in, Hamilton was through. This is the best part of the group format on Saturday night. It's so topsy-turvy. It's like shouting into an oscilloscope and looking at the monitor. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense.
95.
You just wonder if Hamilton was thinking that during that match, thinking, just hit that tops, will you? Put me through. Give me that breathing space before the semi-finals. And now Andy doesn't even know if he's going to make it. Same goes, though, for Ryan. This is really exciting stuff.
100.
It makes for encapsulating viewing here on Sporty Stuff TV. And of course, we've got viewers joining us all around the world. So wherever you are, welcome along to us. And of course, you can get in contact with us here at the MODUS Super Series. We're all across social media at MSS Darts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And we're on YouTube. Follow us at MODUS Super Series. Don't forget to give us a subscribe. Hamilton then wanting 158. We've seen this done this week by his former Premier League pal, Kevin Painter. But it isn't going to go for the hammer.
Yeah, it didn't go for Painter, unfortunately.
80.
Meant to be his week.
Manual car 120.
It could well be Ryan's week if he finds this Shanghai. Ideal start. Oh, what's happening with people on 60 points tonight?
80.
They're all getting fortunate.
78.
Look on the bright side, Ryan. You've left 40. If that dart had snagged the flight a bit more, you would have bust the score like Andy almost did in his game with Shewan earlier. 25 in bull. Maybe a little bit of a disturbance in the background. This has got to be a high 25. That's good enough. This is a really difficult shot. Oh,
53.
So close.
Manual car 40.
The line was so good. It just needed probably 3 to 4 more millimeters in the air. He thought that was in.
20.
None of them are.
Andy car 25.
It's really tense in here now. Really tense.
You could hear a pin drop in the live lounge. 88. 4s.
17.
And this is getting really tense. And this is a huge moment here for Ryan Furness for break of throw and a 2-0 lead, and it would put him halfway there.
You can tell that there are nerves because Furness dropped the dart. Has that done him a favour, or has it stopped his rhythm?
15.
It stopped his rhythm.
Andy car 8.
You could hear one piece of stubble drop on the floor. It's that quiet in here.
Game shot in the second leg.
And things have changed a little bit. A respectful clap But I can feel the tension, and there are two walls between me and this stage.
And it was just interesting.
Like
you can see the Ryan Furness
on.
support crammed into the right-hand corner of that overhead shot that you can see from the stage.
66.
And they are concerned faces at this present moment in time. They are nerve-jangling faces at this present moment in time.
Yeah, it's really great to watch people that you care about play darts, but you feel helpless. There is nothing you can do from the crowd.
57.
It's almost as if all of the adrenaline has been extracted from this game, and they're playing a chess match all of a sudden. It's like Gary Kasparov against Nigel Short all over again. I bet that's totally lost on you. It was around 26, 27 years ago when Britain's best chess player went up against the world champion Gary Kasparov, and the entire country was captivated
140.
as Short took on well, at the time, the best chess player of all time. And everybody wanted to play chess. Everything got quiet.
I know there was a guy
100.
who played 11, was it a grandmaster? He played 11 chess matches at once.
That's just showing off, isn't it?
That is. That's like you going from one board to the next, to the next, to the next.
There's an idea. That's an idea as well. That's how to win Franz here in the live lounge. And to get yourself back in front potentially.
85. And you car 124.
Earlier in the night, I was talking about the atmosphere in here. It was electric. I can't ever remember anything like this.
41.
The anticipation and the nerves in this building are quite unbelievable. That's not going to do Ryan any favours.
59.
Maybe the 25 does.
83.
It gets him in 2-dot range.
This, importantly, is for a breaker throw for Andy Hamilton, this 83. And we haven't seen too many of them this evening. Everything in terms of matches have gone with throw. Hamilton is looking to buck that trend. He could help him out with the ball, which he gets. And that's a show of emotion from the hammer. He's just 2 legs away now from the place in the semi-finals. And he has the darts in leg 4 to open up a 3-1 lead.
I hate to use a Chris Murphy-style pun, but the shoe's on the other foot now, isn't it, for Lee Shewan? And for Andy Hamilton. It was Hamilton sitting in the practice room a couple of games ago thinking, come on, Ryan. But now, Lee Shewan's thinking, come on, Andy.
Just putting the boot in on Ryan, aren't you?
Well, someone's going to be putting their slippers on later tonight and thinking, oh, that feels nice. At least I made the semis.
100.
Just remember, there is a possibility tonight that meetings from the group can be replicated in the final. Because number 1 spot in group 1 could meet number 2 if they win their semi-finals. It has happened before, and it's happened where the result has been reversed as well.
And usually quite convincing in the other direction as well. It's far from convincing in this leg. It's up in the offing, but Furness is
100.
put some kind of dent in the 2-6-1. Hamilton, again, if he can plonk a couple of trebles in, perhaps goes semi-favourite.
Just remember, a little over 10 years ago, Andy was playing at Alexandra Palace in front of 3,500 people against Adrian Lewis in a World Championship final. Now he's playing in front of a few less. But there's still a lot of tension.
105. And you car 152.
The experience of that from many, many times in finals and in front of big audiences has got to stand him in good stead for shots like this. Double 16.
136.
What a try.
That could have been a real tie turner, and so Furness returns to the 56 to get the break back, to level us up at 2 apiece with a 14-dart leg. And credit there to Ryan Furness, because Hamilton misses the double 16 for the 152. He then takes the double out. First time of asking, and possibly, Nico, we're a few legs away from that 9-dart shootout.
We are getting close to it. I just wonder what Lee Shewan is thinking in the practice room right now. What are these guys thinking? Because I'm sure they're aware of it. Just to make you aware, if you are just joining us on Sporty Stuff TV, at this late hour, as we approach midnight, Lee Shewan cannot be eliminated. At the very least, he is going to be in a 9-dart shootout.
100.
If Hamilton wins by 4 legs to 2 or 4 legs to 3, he is safe. As would Lee Shewan be as well.
57.
You sense there's more pressure right now on Furness. If Hamilton gets that 3rd leg, he's got the guarantee of the 9-dart shootout as well.
And let's remember as well, Ryan Furness had 6 darts to beat Lee Shewan in their first group match. He was 3-1 up on the cobbler, lost by 4 legs to 3.
94.
So he could have and perhaps should have been in the dominant position in this group. He may put himself 1 leg away if he can get the double 19 for the 158, but he has decided to split. He's going to return for double 16 after 12 to put himself 3-2 up. And to put him on the cusp
56.
of qualification.
2 8s.
16.
He missed a 152 on double 16. Maybe he can take something a little different. 2 trebles still needed. 2 treble 19s. Doesn't get the first one.
64. Manual class 16.
Gets another go for a 3-2 lead. Double 4.
Game showing the 5th
Pinned.
leg.
And he knew that he had to take advantage of that opportunity. And that was a nervous cheer from the Furness fans. A nervous ripple of applause from the Furness faithful.
Game on.
Now, if Andy Hamilton can win this leg, the worst case scenario for him is a 9-dart shootout.
I'm trying to remember if Andy Hamilton's ever been in a 9-dart shootout in the Grand Slam. I know that Robert Thornton was with Dimitri Vandenberg. Darren Webster was with Mark Webster, and that was an incredible one from 2017. But for some reason, it's ringing bells to me. We'll cross that bridge if we get there. Because look at what Hamilton is doing. 140 to get to 301. There's a time to talk about stats. There's a time to talk about form. But right now, it's all about what happens now and what will happen next.
This visit could well be the biggest of the match if Hamilton can find something. If he comes up dry here,
96.
He would have opened up the door to Furness. He could a little bit if he can get a couple of trebles here. But that's a flyer. And so Hamilton is 41. Going to get 6 darts and 205. You put him onto 3 legs, which would mean, worst case scenario, he is going to return for the 9-dart playoff. Then if he wins the decider, he is through. Furness is staring down the barrel here now. And his support know it.
$99.
That's not bad.
130
130 is gettable. This 108 is to guarantee at least a 9-dart shootout. Double 16.
92.
Now,
Manual car
this
130.
is to knock Andy out. And it's also to win the group.
65. Under your car 16.
I just wonder if everybody in here knows what's going on. We've got the benefit of statistics. We've been logging everything. A lot of these people will probably know what's on the line here. Dream guide. Just a little adjustment needed. Segment found with an assist. Andy Hamilton guarantees at least a 9-dart shootout. But it is a 1-leg shootout to see what happens next. Hamilton wins it.
First, game on.
He wins the group and Furness is out, and Shewan will be through.
140.
Furness kicks off 140. Leggy has to remember, this isn't now to go through. This is
81.
To ensure a 9-dart shootout. That's the perilous position he's now placed himself in.
Now that's the best he can do.
140.
Oh, that is one of the best darts he's thrown all week. That was snappy.
As if there was some urgency to it.
That was the epitome of throwing it for his life.
140.
Barely had any room in that 60, and it went in with real ferocity. He could do with another one. Oh, what's happening? Incredible 180 from Ryan Furness. Are you ready for a 9-dart shootout for the very first time here in the MODUS Super Series? It's extremely likely.
85.
And if this 41 is taken, it will happen after game 6. Double 16.
25.
And let's not forget, Henry, it's not a 9-dart shootout with 2 people. It'll be with all 3. All 3 of them.
We could be on the cusp of Super Series history
57.
if Ryan Furness
16.
can convert this double 8. Will be decided courtesy of a 9-dart shootout. We have never seen it before at the Super Series or its predecessor tournaments, and this is how he's done it. With an average of 90.43, 1 max in the match, 4 from 17 on the doubles, a high checkout of 110. And so strap yourselves in, because for the first time in the history of this competition, we have a 9-dart shootout between Andy Hamilton, Lee Shewan and Ryan Furness. But first, before we head there, we are going to conclude Group B after this short break. Moreno Blom needs to win big if he's going to qualify. He takes on Conor Heneghan.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, and it hasn't taken many weeks for us to get a real dose of darting drama, has it? We're going to have a three-way 9-dart shootout after every match in Group 1 finished 4-3. That after Ryan Furness defeated Andy Hamilton by that scoreline, meaning he had a 4-3 win, Hamilton had a 4-3 win, and so did Shewan after he came back from 3-1 behind to defeat Furness earlier in the evening. So after the next match, all three of those players are going to get on that stage, throw 9 darts each, and the player with the lowest score will be eliminated from tonight's tournament. Next game is in Group 2, and this should be a little bit more simple. Conor Heneghan just needs a couple of legs to get through. Moreno Blom needs to win 4-1 or better to escape from the brink of elimination. Heneghan has been the star of the week, a 9-dart finish earlier, and it looks like he will be going through alongside Conan Whitehead, but Moreno Blom has upset the odds before. Can he do it again? Let's find out with Henry and Paul.
Well, how do you follow that? What a way to conclude Group 1. Well, it's not even done yet, is it? We have a 9-dart shootout in a few moments' time. Well, they're just running through how the order is going to be set.
First leg is Moreno to
it's a
throw
much
first.
easier way to
Game
conclude
on.
Group 2 because it's as simple as this. Moreno Blom has to win 4-1 or better to
96.
progress through to the knockout stages. Needs a 4-1 victory against Conor, and that would knock Conor out,
121.
and he would go through alongside Conan Whitehead.
85.
So that is how it's going to play out here in Group 2 as we make Super Series history here on finals
57.
night in Week 8. And you can tell the crowd know because there's just a little bit of a hubbub
100.
of noise around the auditorium. They know exactly what's happening in a few moments' time, but let's concentrate on this one.
100.
Conor Heneghan up against Moreno Blom. Heneghan, who came into
78.
tonight as the 5-2 favourite to walk away with the £5,000 top prize and a place at Champions Week in the middle of October. He topped Group B on Thursday and Friday after coming so close to winning Group A at the start of the week. He was actually
59.
top overnight on Tuesday going into
142.
Wednesday. But it is Blom who's first to a finish on the 1-4-2, and we've seen him go some interesting ways to finishes, and it usually comes off for the talented young Dutchman, and he leads 1-0 against Conor Heneghan. He set his stall out right from the get-go, knowing he has to win big.
First. Game on.
It's a quarter of the way to qualifying if he can win this to zip. He can only afford to drop one leg. That's all he can do.
60.
It's a darting equivalent of being sat
96.
on a cliff edge.
$125.
But my word, in this game where he knows he has to win to keep his week alive, it looks as if he's putting out the stops
42.
in these early stages.
58.
But that might be a slip. And that might let Heneghan in.
$42. 66.
Would have wanted much, much more there from that visit. Because it's let Heneghan in, and he can't afford to give him any chances in this game.
125.
And Heneghan will take full advantage.
45. Conor Heneghan 73.
And so for 1-1, it would put him a leg away from sealing qualification. into the semi-finals.
We're
We're into the last game of the group. And technically, no one's through yet.
97.
Apart from Conan Whitehead, whose 4-1 victory against Moreno was enough to send him through. And that double 10 means that Heneghan is a leg away from qualifying himself alongside the Barbarian. And so Moreno Blom is going to have to win 3 legs on the spin if he's going to qualify through to the Fab Four here at the Super Series.
95.
The only advantage is, of those 3 legs, he'd have to throw twice. It'd only be in the middle where he'd have to break Heneghan. But he is in 96. The darting last chance saloon.
$140. 70.
Goes downstairs with the first dart.
121.
And he leaves himself on 145 after 9 as Heneghan looks to respond.
100. Moreno car 145.
Not going to see another huge checkout, are we?
105.
Tops of the 145 to follow up from the 142. He is going to come back for tops after 12 to win the first of 3 must-win legs.
70. Moreno car 40.
Perfect marker. It collided with the first dart dragged below, but the third one was perfect. And it is 2-1 to Moreno Blom, but this is the leg for the young Dutchman. This is the one where he has to break.
Forfait Conor to throw first, game on. $85.
You sense he has to crank in a 2 treble visit, and that's yet another
80.
dart. That is deflected out of the treble trendy for Moreno Blom this evening. I have that 3 now by my calculations. He's actually lost 180 points on the floor tonight.
59. $43. 55. 95.
And Paul, big moments here ahead
92.
for Moreno. 2:10 now left for Heneghan. Himself on 283, needs a couple of trebles, not going to happen. So Heneghan is now going to have 6 darts to wrap up Group 2 in terms of who's going through and who's going out.
There's a real buzz about this place right now. I've just come from the practice room
79.
and performed the bullseye duties to see who will throw first, second and third in our 9-dart shootout.
140.
In the next leg, I will give you the news hot off the press to see who will throw first, and second and third. There was a real buzz about this practice room.
71. Moreno car 45.
Double 16.
13.
That could be curtains for Moreno Blom, because Conor Heneghan will return for 60 to knock him out and to put himself through into the semi-finals. Tops. Double 10.
50.
Moreno Blom will return.
32.
That could have just been his get-out-of-jail-free card if he can convert the double 16. 1 dart left
16.
at double 8, and that could be his final miss.
10.
That could be his final opportunity come and gone.
When you know you have to win by 4 legs to 1, it's just a difficult thing to process when your opponent is on double 5 to knock you out. 1 dart left.
No score.
And somehow Heneghan can't get the guillotine to fall.
Moreno Blom, at the minute, has had more lives than a black cat.
Moreno Blom.
And now he has the throw to knock Heneghan out. Heneghan's had the opportunities to send the Dutchman home, to get rid of him from the equation, to progress his way through.
Moreno to throw first, game on.
Moreno is sticking around this week like a termite.
91.
He just refuses to go. We don't have squatters here at the Modus Live Lounge, but if we did, they'd be called Moreno Blom.
121.
Sticking around like a limpet.
60.
It's one of those qualities as a dart player that can really annoy your opponents. The only person who is relaxing right now, and I can say this wholeheartedly because I've just had a chat with him, is Conan Whitehead. He's buzzing because of this 9-dart shootout and the fact that he's the only one safe.
94.
And he has been for about 45 minutes.
Just letting everyone else sweat it out.
I'm not going to sleep tonight, Henry.
42.
I'm getting a major buzz from this. There's not one person even contemplating leaving this hall.
81.
They want to see a bit of history tonight. But do not forget about this game. Heneghan, who was thinking, after that 4-2 win against Conan Whitehead
42.
earlier, I'm in great position. He's in trouble.
This really is crazy. This really has been the craziest night of Super Series darts I can remember.
It's been the craziest 72 hours of Super Series darts. That can't be ignored. Moreno Blom got 4 points from Group A. 4 from a possible 30. And he's only gone and beaten Conor Heneghan by the exact result he needed. Conor Heneghan is gone. What a celebration from the young Dutchman. Conor did not turn up in that game. He's eliminated, and he is gone. He's the only person who has been eliminated from our night so far. Blom through. Conan Whitehead through. Who's going to go through in the next group? We're going to create a little bit of history after the break. It's going to be a 9-dart shootout between Andy Hamilton, Ryan Furness and Lee Shewan. Do not miss that. Live on Sporty Stuff TV after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where a little bit of darting history is about to be made. A 3-way 9-dart shootout. 2 players will progress. The player who scores the least amount with 9 darts will be eliminated. That's after they all got a 4-3 victory in Group 1. It's Andy Hamilton, Lee Shewan and Ryan Furness. The top 2 go through, and without further ado, we'll get it on. Paul Hinks is the referee, Paul Nicholson and Henry Deacon in commentary.
Thank you very much, Chris. Welcome to Super Series history. For the first time, we have a 9-dart shootout. And to the best of our knowledge, it's the first time there's ever been a televised 3-way 9-dart shootout.
What we can tell you is that Lee Shewan will throw first. He'll have 3 darts. Then it will be Andy. Then it will be Ryan.
100.
Ryan won the bull off in the practice room. He chose to throw last. Andy then chose to throw second. Lee Shewan had no option but to throw first. And Lee starts strongly, but not as strong as Andy.
140.
Terrific start. Furness under the pump from the very off.
Remember, it is the 2 players with the highest scores from the 9 darts that progress. So the lowest scorer will be eliminated.
And the highest
58.
will win the group. Furness behind after the first visit.
100.
Shewan's in good shape. 2 tons is very good in this spot. It is conceivable that Ryan Furness may be too far behind when it comes to his 3rd visit. His 2nd visit is going to have to be really interesting.
81.
At an absolute minimum now, Furness needs a 140.
The only person who has been in a 9-dart shootout before is Andy Hamilton. He's won 1 and lost 1. Wow, from Furness, a 180 in the shootout, and he takes the lead.
He's now the favourite, and that's a single 1 from Shewan. But that's a big treble 20.
66.
But it's a slip with the last dart. And so Andy Hamilton now only needs 46 points to progress.
Shewan can do nothing. $46 points to give him a 1-point buffer. Hamilton has made it. Furness is also there. Lee Shewan is out. And Ryan Furness wins the group in the 9-dart shootout. That was thrilling. Wow, Henry, what do you make of that?
Sadly,
We have been waiting so long for this moment. And boy, did it deliver. And so let's head straight back up to the gantry where Chris Murphy is awaiting to sum up a historic moment here at the Super Series. It is the first ever 9-dart shootout. It's won by Ryan Furness from Andy Hamilton from Lee Shewan. Andy Hamilton progresses through to the semi-finals via 1 point in a 9-dart shootout. Lee Shewan was 1 point away. So let's head back up to the studio and reflect upon this crazy few minutes with Chris Murphy.
Wow, that was incredible, wasn't it? That shot from Andy Hamilton to get 1 point ahead may well be the best shot we've ever seen at the Super Series. Thought about it, didn't he? Thought about his position when he did the bull-up earlier, and he thought about going for the bullseye there. That made the difference. Furness with that 180 after a slow start, winning the group in the end on 368. Andy Hamilton on 267. Lee Shewan going out on 266 after the first ever 3-way 9-dart shootout on live TV. Incredible stuff. After the break, we are going to have the semi-finals here at the MODUS Super Series on what's already been a really dramatic night. Well, who's going to win? I'm not sure. We all got to get our breath back, and we'll return for the semi-finals after this. Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series on what has been one of the most dramatic nights of darts, not just here, but anywhere, Paul. A couple of big dramatic moments I want to talk about. First of all, Andy Hamilton's 120 earlier, and then that 25 he hit in the 9-dart shootout.
We've had a bit of everything this week. The last 72 hours have really delivered under this roof. And just to see that 9-dart shootout with what's happened, you know, this evening, it's just been a privilege to be here. But, yeah. I mean, the 120 from Andy Hamilton a little bit earlier on was so fortunate, and we could wax lyrical about what's happened with Andy and some of the people in Group 1 tonight for hours and hours and hours. We can't do that because we have got some semi-finals to do, but the adrenaline rush that everybody's had because of that 9-dart shootout, just this place is bouncing right now.
Well, the first semi-finals, Ryan Furness against Moreno Blom. I mean, Blom himself has created more drama tonight, needed to win 4-1, won 4-1.
He's almost gone into the radar with his own drama, which is ridiculous when you think about it. The fact that he needed to win 4-1 against the form horse of the week, the guy who's got all the headlines with the venue record with an average and the 9-darter and so many great moments, Heneghan is devastated that he's been eliminated from tonight. I don't blame him. But Blom, I mentioned he was like a limpet in commentary. He just won't go away. And right now, people are thinking that it's going to take some sort of meteor strike to take him out of this place.
Yeah, I'm calling him Boomerang Blom because he just keeps coming back. And Ryan Furness came back in that 9-dart shootout as well. Hit a score of 58 to start and then a 180. He takes on Moreno Blom in this first semi-final. Then it will be Conan Whitehead against Andy Hamilton. And it's time to get the players on the stage. Paul Hinks will do just that.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. We now get round to the first of tonight's semi-finals. Please welcome the players to the stage, Ryan Furness and Moreno Blom.
Well, we've seen enough drama for any night, but maybe the drama has only just begun here at the Super Series. As we enter the knockout stages, we feel like we've seen so much already. That's because we have. We've already seen history here tonight with that 9-dart shootout. But for Ryan Furness here, because he won the group, usually you'd get the advantage of having a game off before your first semi-final. He's had to now calm down following that 9-dart shootout. He's only had 6 minutes to relax.
Looks like he's Ryan to throw first.
And to try and
game on.
Get himself ready for this game against Moreno Blom. It's been a short turnaround for the man from Wiltshire, and I just wonder, Paul Nicholson, who's raced his way down from
60.
the gantry to join me here in the commentary booth, how distinct an advantage that is. The fact that Moreno has just been
45.
able to watch all this drama unfold, and the advantage you usually get from winning Group 1 is gone for Ryan Furness because he's had so little time to prepare.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. But one of the things that you might have to take into consideration, Henry, is that it hasn't been that long since a really big adrenaline hit
59.
for Moreno coming through in 5 legs against Conor. But the amount of adrenaline that Ryan will have felt with the 180 that he hit in that 9-dart shootout, they're both going to be swimming at the top of their adrenaline meter right now. And that could help this game.
100.
I mentioned on your way down, it's 12:30 and we're only in the first semi-final. Usually we're in between the semis and the final. The darting drama may have only just begun.
Yeah, it's been an outrageous week.
130.
You almost feel like you don't want tonight to end. Possibilities are
93.
outrageous when you think about them.
52.
The amount of things that we need to talk about. I don't think we have enough time. Double 16 for Furness to take the lead in the first semi.
20.
He's got time. I just had a little chat with Andy Hamilton, actually, on the way through the practice
100.
room. And he said he was
32.
really shaking on that 25 last dart in the shootout. It was a great shot. Double 16 still. Flight's in the way.
16.
And now Moreno.
Your car 104.
He's got 104 to take this leg. Treble 17.
80.
Hasn't worked out.
16.
But Furness has had problems in this corner already.
Gets
Gets there eventually.
Indeed, he does. So, Ryan Furness on the board in our first semi-final here against Moreno Blom. And following a week where we've seen so much drama in terms of group equations and
57.
working certain things out, it's going to be nice just to sit back, relax, and watch a knockout darts match where the first of 4, you go through.
Yeah, it's very true, actually. But
85.
one of the things we need to inform all of our Sporty Stuff TV viewers, you might already
45.
be aware of this, but I can't remember this happening in the time that I've been in the booth anyway. Every game in the groups tonight went with the darts. Every single one. Now, when it comes to nicknames, Ryan Furness doesn't have one.
140.
Maybe he should be called the Shootout King, because that 180 that he hit in that shootout was, without a doubt, the best 180 he's ever hit.
Hang it in the Louvre.
59. Ryan car 96.
And he may already be at halfway house towards the final. How quickly things can turn.
60.
And we are talking about someone who has won on a Saturday night before. Or should I say, a Sunday morning.
100. Ryan car 36.
Blom is on debut this week. Furness has got experience of doing this late. He's missing doubles though. But he's getting enough chances to get over the line. That's now 34 darts for the first couple of legs in this semi-final. And here's the scary thing. He's already missed 9 darts at a double.
And Moreno hasn't had one yet. As you mentioned, we're moving into the early hours of the 7th day of our week here at the Super Series.
The guys in the semi-finals have guaranteed themselves £1,250. This is a double your money game. This is getting serious.
41.
At this time of the week, usually we'd be having the final roundabout now. And because of the new format, we don't have a 3rd, 4th place playoff
60.
anymore. But we've had a bonus match already.
134.
Everyone has got their money's worth tonight, that is for certain.
You're not kidding. This has been, without a shadow of a doubt,
51.
because I've been with this project since the very first match in 2020. This
64.
has been the most exciting day.
Brand new car 133.
Bar none.
Furness will be hoping it's one of his most exciting days because he'll hope to be in a 3-0 lead, put himself within 1 of the final. And there lies the
47.
big riches and the big rewards, the £5,000 cheque and a place at Champions Week.
57. Brand new car 86.
He's 86 points away from doing so.
This is to stop Blom from getting any look at a double in the first 3 legs. That's exactly what he's doing. He's shutting his opponent out. Maybe a shutout from Mr. Shootout. Oh, that's a good nickname, isn't it?
4th leg Moreno to throw.
There you go, Ryan. I've just given you a nickname. Mr. Shootout.
Game on.
It's about time an Englishman was good at a shootout.
Just don't call yourself the
140.
Shootout. There's too many nicknames with a the at the start anyway. Mr. Shootout sounds really good.
Coming from the asset.
45.
Exactly. I'm one of the many, whereas I want to be one of the few. But this is better from Blom.
And he wants to be one of the few that progresses through to Champions Week on debut.
You're a poet, you don't know it.
99.
Furness has now got that cushion
135.
where he can have a bad leg. But I have to stress that maybe he's afforded one. You don't want that to really infect the rest of your game.
63.
46 was the number for Andy Hamilton. That's what he needed to make it through the shootout.
Game
And
shot
46 is
of the
found
fourth
for
leg.
Blom for an
Moreno
11 darter, the best leg of this match so far.
You mentioned the off leg from Furness, but that comes with a health warning there because the scoring visits on Blom in that previous leg was 140, 180, 135 on taking out the 46 for the 11. So he might be on the incline at the right time. And if there is a drop-off on Furness, that's
60.
going to be pronounced if Blom can keep up this scoring power.
95.
Lucky there with the last dart. These next couple of visits could be huge in the complexion of this match.
96.
Couple of trebles here. We could see a break.
60.
And then things really will get twitchy in this room. Things really will get tense. Bums will squeak.
97.
That's not bad. Roughly 100 ahead.
134.
But not for long. He's starting to make inroads on those two treble visits, isn't he? You sense that Ryan Furness has got a game plan. He's starting to what we call white horse it by trying to go around
59.
the board for the big trebles. He's not trying to concentrate everything on the same big treble. He's trying to use the board for all it's worth. 146 left with 2.
78.
That's a great last start. And again, he's going around the board. And he's got a shot to get
97.
to the final.
Manual class 73.
73. And you can see the big puff of the cheeks. Some of his fans can't watch. Double top for the final.
33.
Oh, I bent the wire.
Manual class 56.
He's had a match dart. And Blom returned to the 56. 2 darts at tops. That was just in the single 16.
16.
And they've both
Manual
bent the
class
wire. 3 darts that have touched the tops wire but hasn't found its way in. And so Furness will return for a place in the final. Double 10.
20.
Blom
Manual class
returns.
40.
4 match darts missed. How many match darts have we seen
Game
missed
shot of the
tonight?
fifth leg. Moreno
It
Blom.
could be more. This is a real test of the mental strength of Furness now. Blom's got the darts in leg 6.
6 leg Moreno to throw first. Game on.
He's like a caged animal at the end of the stage there. I'm starting to wonder,
40.
as are a lot of the players from this week, how do we get Moreno Blom out the door?
28.
I'm not talking from my point of view. I love watching him. He's great. But the players are starting to
100.
think, how do we get rid of this guy? Because if he keeps sticking around this way, he's going to be coming back in a month.
123.
Incredible endurability this from Moreno. And you just look at the top
40.
right-hand corner of the crowd. The Furness supporters are in Shredsville. But this...
138.
Well, why didn't he go for the 60? Treble 20 would have left 170,
91.
and it would have been a 350 and 6 attempt. A treble 17 would have not left himself a finish. That was a tactical mistake from Furness. Did he
134.
sacrifice the
130.
finish to try and get something with that second visit to leave a 2 darter? Bullseye for Blom.
105. Manual class 78.
And so after the trials and tribulations, Ryan Furness wants double 6.
66.
And that's more match
Moreno
darts missed. And Moreno is
25.
back for 25 for a decider.
6 darts missed for the match in total. Blom needs 8.
9.
Blom misses.
Ryan yellow card, 12.
Another chance for Ryan to get rid of Moreno. And get rid of him he does. He's in the final. He won Group A in a 9-dart shootout. And finally, Moreno Blom sees the exit after a spirited try to stick around. It's going to be Ryan Furness in the final via that 4-2 thrilling victory. 21% on the checkouts, but look how many chances he had compared to his opponent. He had 12 more darts at double in 6 legs. It's going to be Hamilton against Whitehead to see who plays Furness in tonight's final. Do not go anywhere. The thrills keep coming here at the MODUS Super Series.
So Ryan Furness is in the final of one of the most dramatic darting weeks we've ever had here at the Super Series in its various stages of evolution. That's after a 4-2 success against Moreno Blom, who for once just found himself with too much to do. That win for Ryan Furness over Blom puts him in the tournament decider after coming through that incredible 9-dart shootout. Blom, who had the perhaps most stunning result of the evening when he beat Conor Heneghan 4-1, the exact result he needed to get to the semis, bows out after a valiant effort. But Andy Hamilton and Conan Whitehead will now do battle to see who will face Furness in the final. Will it be the Hammer or Conan the Barbarian? Let's find out. Henry Deacon and Paul Nicholson in commentary. Paul Hinks to get the players on the stage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals Night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. We're now round to the stage of our second semi-final, so please welcome to the stage the Barbarian, Conan Whitehead, and the Hammer, Andy Hamilton.
What a night. And it's not over yet. Every single game tonight has gone with the darts. Will that continue? Andy Hamilton, who came through the 9-dart shootout in second position, is playing against Conan Whitehead, who just has the knack of qualifying, doesn't he, the 36-year-old from Raynham, the Welling United fan. Yes, I've got to get that in again, because I got it wrong on Thursday. The Barbarian against the Hammer. This is like a Marvel movie. The 55-year-old from Stoke has been around a while, but he is not done yet. Furness is in the final.
First
Who
leg
will
is
he
Conan
meet, Henry?
through first.
We are about to find out. And you feel as if these two are destined to meet at some point this week. Two players whose game and styles will suit each other down to the
100.
ground. Strap yourselves in for 7 legs of darting drama. And two men that will give absolutely everything and will show every single possible emotion in the book.
Let's just outline what is on the line in this match.
60.
A place in the final. £1,250 in prize money. And still that chance of making Champions Week. Andy
60.
Hamilton is on chance 1 in stage 1. Conan Whitehead is on his second chance. If he's eliminated in this match or the next, he will definitely not go to Champions Week.
140.
If Hamilton makes the final and loses the final, I suppose it will depend if somebody was to not turn up or be able to make
100.
it. He might get a call. But that leads me to next week, because if you aren't aware of who's playing next week, you're about to find out, because Group A from Monday morning at 9:30, you will have Alex Small, Danny Lauby from the United States will be here,
85.
fresh from a runner-up finish on a Challenge Tour event today. Jamie Kelling of Andover, Nathan Gervin of Scotland, Sebastian Białecki of Poland
123.
makes his debut in Super Series darts, along with Switzerland's Stefan Belmont. In Group B, next Thursday and Friday night, you will also have Colin Osborne, Matthew Dennant, and Scott Williams. One of the hottest properties outside of the tour card holders in the world will be back. Aaron Monk, Kurt Parry, and Lee Cox will make up Group C. They are your players for Week 9.
The full focus here is on our
82,
3 remaining
undercard
players
95.
now this week. Each of these players have a 33% chance of making it through to Champions Week. Hamilton is looking for an opening leg breaker throw. He went the bullseye route to try and guarantee a dart at double. He goes double 19 now for the double
75.
top. And it drags
Corner card
just
36.
underneath. So Whitehead will return for the double 18 to take the opening leg with the throw. Across for double 9.
Game shown the first leg.
I told you, you'll hear every single emotion as every leg goes by. And that was the first roar from Conan Whitehead, which signifies his first leg on the board. He leads 1-0.
And you know what?
Second leg, Andy.
Some opponents
Game on.
just don't mind you giving it a little bit of something, because it gives them more license to give it back. Andy's a bit like a pit bull sometimes. If you poke him with a stick, he's going to roar back.
81.
Just going back to that Week 9 lineup, we've teased it and teased it all week, and you can see why we were teasing it in such a way, because
60.
that is going to be good. That is going to be special. I'm happy to be in the chair alongside Chris Murphy from Monday to Wednesday, and then we'll have a brand new commentator for the remainder of that week. We'll keep that under wraps for the next couple of days.
100.
We'll let you guess who could be joining us. And I suppose we're still being kept guessing as to who's going to join Ryan Furness in the final, but as every throw goes by, Conan Whitehead is doing his cause no harm.
It's a very different atmosphere now than it was at the end of the last match, and indeed what happened before that.
140.
And effectively, the winner of this semi-final will have almost the away
60.
changing room in the final because of the Furness support that's still there.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assumption, actually. What we should communicate as well
100.
is that when we go into the final, there will be a bull-off to see who goes first. No distinct advantage of winning, say,
60.
the first semi-final or the
80.
second. Even playing field for the final. But you have to get there first. Interesting call here from Andy, who's decided not to go up to the 20s. Maybe
48.
because of what happened earlier on that really interesting 120 that he had, where he almost bust his 180 score. He's just trying to make sure that the bust shot was not in play at all. And if that was his thought process, bravo.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Game shot on the second
And
leg.
that's a perfectly pinned double 16. And in those scenarios, you then have to get the landing double to make sure the decision you made was the right one. It most certainly was for Andy Hamilton. We're level at 1 apiece.
Third leg Conan to throw first.
And we are no clearer to knowing who's going to face Ryan Furness in the final. The crowd are absorbed by this semi-final.
I hate to say this, Henry, but whilst we're sitting here
57.
and Andy's still in the tournament, do you know where his other half is from? She's from Southampton.
Controversial around these parts.
That's what I thought. Somewhat hushed around this
81.
very boutique arena, you could say. Chloe is in the crowd. She goes with Andy everywhere.
140.
Really wants him to succeed. Andy firmly believes that there's still a lot more to give, and I completely agree with him. His work ethic is legendary. And trust me when I say this, I'm not overselling that. Ask any player from the last 20 years about Andy's work ethic.
100.
It's kind of ridiculous how much he practices in preparation for things like this. It's like his body, his arm, his mind, it's
58.
all fine-tuned for darts and essentially nothing else.
The embodiment of a proper pro.
Well, even though he's not got pro status, he's still a pro to most people.
23.
I wonder what would win in a fight, Conan the Barbarian's sword or Andy's hammer. That's why I said it was like a Marvel comic book. Who would win between Conan the Barbarian and Thor? Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of people who like that kind of thing, who are debating that now over a midnight libation, or should I say something closer to 1 a.m.
146.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for staying with us at this late hour. It's been a dramatic night, a dramatic 72 hours full of history. And not just for the MODUS Super Series, we're talking about darts history here tonight.
138.
Great stuff from Whitehead.
He's just doing the right things on throw. 140 ton, 138 in this leg. It's forcing the issue of Hamilton.
81.
That's a good
Conor
last
Heneghan,
start, just to
8.
keep an interested party if this double fall doesn't go.
Twos.
Game shot on the third
2-1
leg.
it is.
Conan Whitehead.
Whitehead just knows what to do at this time of night, or this time of the morning, I should say. He has won a weekly title this year. He won 2 in 2021. When he won those weekly titles in 2021, he beat Jamie Clark in the first one. Jamie of Scotland, who currently is on the tour with a tour card. And the second one, he beat Wales's Martin Thomas, who was here last week.
85.
But this year, when he won his weekly title in week 2 of Phase 4, he beat Josh Payne in the final. And that was a particularly good night, involving the likes of Payne, Dave Pallett, Matthew Dennant, Darryl Pilgrim, who's already qualified for the Champions League in this stage, and Kevin Painter was there too. That was a really good night. And that was the night that we found out that Conan had taken a spell away from the game because he'd fallen out of love with
70.
it. But he's fallen back in love with it now.
It's good to see him doing so because he provides us with such great entertainment, such great hours.
It's not to say that every time Conan makes the Saturday night that he gets
56.
glory, because back in the Champions Week of Phase 4, which was won by Josh Payne, and funnily enough, the runner-up was Conor Heneghan. On that night, Conan was 5th, alongside
60.
Graham Usher. He didn't even make the semi-finals. So he doesn't have a 100% record on Saturday nights, but his record at making Saturday nights is just really good.
Graham Usher, the winner last week here at the Modus Live Lounge. We are going to see him in a few weeks' time. We're going to pencil in name number 8 by the end of the night. And Andy Hamilton could well be that name. He's himself on 68 of his first max of the match. But back comes Conan.
And you've got 68.
Tremendous. This game is catching fire. All's not lost. 13s gets 1 for the bull.
43. Conor Heneghan 106.
The 25 saved him in the shootout. It got him here. The 25 was no good on this occasion. Double 16. Whitehead finds a ton plus out after a maximum. 286 in 6 for a 3-1 lead, and he's very close to the final now.
Talk about finding something inspired to change the fortunes in your favour. That's exactly what Conan Whitehead has done here, and he is throwing for the final.
If you're a believer in signs, listen to what I'm about to tell you.
39.
Every game tonight has gone with the darts. Who had the darts in this game? Conan did, because he won Group 2. Now we go back to the early hours of Friday, when Conan only got
59.
2 points from Group B. And he said to me, do not worry, I'm going to get through to Saturday night. He got it done.
81.
And he also said, I'm going to win this week.
A man of his word, Conan Whitehead.
That's exactly what he said to me today. When he made it through in the early hours of yesterday morning
38.
now, he said, I'm a man of my word. Well, what more proof do you need?
Ryan Furness is the man awaiting the victor of this one. He beat Moreno Blom by 4 legs to 2 in the first semi-final. If you have just joined us here on Sporty Stuff TV, we also had our first ever 9-dart shootout. I'm sure we'll be reflecting on that before the night is done with Paul and Chris up on the balcony. But our full focus here is on this second semi-final between Whitehead and Hamilton. Whitehead a leg away from securing his place in the final against Ryan Furness. Hamilton, with his back against the wall, comes up with a crucial 140 just to stem the tide a little bit.
Things are getting a bit edgy.
100.
221 after 12 is, well, it's not even satisfactory at this level, but right now with a 43-point lead, you will take it. Andy has either got to stay on the 20s or go to the 17s.
100.
Straight was the call. In most scenarios, the Barbarian will have 6 from 221, which compared to what he's already done in this match
41.
is kind of simple, but
164.
he fluffs his lines. What was it he got in the last leg? 286? He's hoping he's got 6 from 180. The last thing Conan wants is to go to a 4-3.
30.
It's been his nemesis result this week.
However, he's been given a second invitation here, courtesy of that 30. Hamilton now back on 134. Whitehead can make some huge inroads. Did he go to the top portion or the bottom?
140.
Well, there you see
134.
what we saw from Andy earlier. The quandary of whether to go for the small 20 or the big one. Now Hammer needs this. It's not going to happen, and Whitehead is this close
98.
to the final.
40.
Whitehead wants tops.
Game
To
shot of the
face
match.
Furness
Conan
in the
Whitehead.
final. Conan Whitehead, who on Thursday night, after amassing only 2 points from his opening 4 games, was staring elimination in the face, has now gone full circle into the final here at the MODUS Super Series. He is 1 game away from qualifying for the finals, winning £5,000 in the process. He's beaten the Hammer, Andy Hamilton, 4-1 with an average of 86.96. 4 from 8 on the checkouts, 50% that equates to 106 being his highest out. Andy Hamilton has now been eliminated from the process, and so after all the drama, all the tungsten tension of the last 6 days, and boy there has been some, it all comes down to one final game to see who is going to progress through week 8. It's going to be Ryan Furness against Conan Whitehead, and that comes up after this short break.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we are going to see the final in just a couple of minutes' time. But first, a quick reflection on that second semi-final as Conan Whitehead. Well, he's a man of his word, isn't he, Paul? He told you not to worry, he told you he'd be there, he told you he'd win it, and he might.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he said those exact words to me yesterday, I'm a man of my word. And don't you love people like that? Because, let's face it, he is a man of his word, and I love people like that. But that was a decent performance. 106 checkout was a big one. That was off the back of a 180. And 86.96 in a semi-final is a pretty good effort, but ultimately Hamilton just looked a little bit flat in that final four match.
Yeah, just quickly before we chat about the final, you mentioned during the last match the lineup for next week, and it looks really exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I think the first name that I look at is Danny Lauby. He's had a really good day today on the PDC Challenge Tour, making a final. He's fast, he's effective, he's really exciting. Jamie Kelling's been playing some really good stuff in some independent darts very lately, and Nathan Girvan is just a really exciting talent from Scotland. But I think a lot of people will be excited to see, finally, Sebastian Białecki of Poland here. Stefan Belmont of Switzerland. He's the best player from Switzerland. So that tells you the strength of what he can bring. But you look at some of the people like Dennett, Osborne, Scott Williams, who's had an incredible 2022. They're getting their second crack of the whip. Monk, Parry and Lee Cox, we could get anything from those guys. It's a really exciting group. I don't even know much about Alex Small, but we're going to find out next week.
Yeah, and just a quick reminder that for obvious reasons the coverage will start at 6 p.m. on Monday evening and then back to normal from Tuesday onwards with the double sessions on Thursday and Friday. But a quick word on the final before you go back downstairs to commentate on it. Everyone has kind of been the master of brinksmanship in this group, but it's the best of 7 legs to decide who takes the £5,000 in that place at Champions Week.
Yeah, there's £2,500 on the line. Obviously, both players have had a previous crack of making Champions Week, and this is their final chance. So it's all down to this. Furness has got his fans with him. I know that Conan's got his as well, but I said at this point yesterday with you, in this very spot, that Conan Whitehead was going to win it. I'm not going to back down. I think Whitehead wins.
Will it be a win for Whitehead, or will Furness be the best? Let's find out. Paul Hinks will get the players on stage for the final.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MODUS Super Series Finals Night, live on Sporty Stuff TV. We now get round to tonight's final. Please welcome, first of all, Ryan Furness! And Conan Whitehead!
And so after 104 matches, 12 players, 1 9-dart finish, 1 9-dart shootout, the drama concludes here. And there's one more thing to be written on this historic week here at the MODUS Super Series, and that's the most important business of all, to see who is going to qualify for Champions Week in a month's time. Conan Whitehead has already had one crack at trying to qualify for this occasion in mid-October, whilst for Ryan Furness, he's looking to do so at the very first attempt. Who is going to join the Super 7, the Magnificent 7, in the finals field in a few weeks' time? We're about to find out over the next 7 legs or so. Conan Whitehead has the advantage of throw. He is the only player this week who is balled up in the practice room and has won the honour to throw first in this deciding match.
100.
Ryan Furness is still smiling. What a 3 days he's had. You go all the way back to the first match of Group B. He won that with a really
43.
good performance. He won his second match with an even better performance. And since then, it's been down, then up. Then down, then up. Then down, then up. That's the kind of 72 hours he's had. Believe me when I say this. When this is all said and done, Ryan Furness is going to sleep very well. He's been through the mill, but so has Conan. They both played in Group B, and it was one of the most memorable Group Bs that I can ever remember.
81. $60.
I do have a bit of worrying news, though, if you are a Ryan Furness fan.
100.
In the history of this tournament, these guys have met 4 times. Conan's won them all. 3 times by 4 legs to 1. And 1 by 4 legs to 2. It's never gone the distance. Double 16.
60.
Conan should take the lead, even though he's missed there. But if there is to be some better news in their head-to-head record, they have played each other twice outside of
75.
this event.
Conan 32.
Conan's won one of them. Ryan's won the other. So he has beaten him before.
Game shot on the first
But not
leg. Conan Whitehead.
for a while. Not since last year. It's Conan who has first blood. And you just sense that having the darts tonight is the key. Because no match has been won against the throw.
The power of the throw has come to the fore here at the Super Series. And
100.
whilst we have the opportunity before we get right to the boil of this final, what a week
100.
we have had here at the Super Series. I feel like every conceivable scenario that could have happened, could have been thrown up, has been thrown up. And I think it's a week that we're not going to forget in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm not going to forget this one ever. I think it's dangerous sometimes to pigeonhole
100.
days and weeks as the best ever, but intrinsically for me, this is the most amount of a buzz I've got from a finals night and from the latter part
60.
of a week. I've commentated on endless days here. And this is my first week in this new venue, but what a step up this place has given us this
58.
week. What a step up.
161.
This would be a huge step on Ryan Furness's path in this final. He has got 6 on the 161.
99.
And he leaves it nicely for 62 upon his return. This is for a hold back.
Can be difficult when a dart slips. Your initial reaction is to try
43.
and stop
Run
it
your
from falling
car,
to the floor, but
62.
the safest thing to do is to let it. The last thing you want to do is prick your hand and open a wound up. Double 16.
30.
3 games have gone the distance tonight. Every single one of them was in Group 1.
120.
That was Ryan's group.
Run your car 32.
I wonder if we're going to do
You
that
shot the
again.
second leg.
Well done to
Furness.
Ryan with that 16 darter. He levels things up, and vitally he stops Conan from getting a look at that 72.
Because you would have fancied him
Conan
for
to
it,
throw
because
first. Game on.
as you mentioned, he in these big moments just seems to come up with answers. So the only way to stop him is to completely restrict him of any opportunities
140.
whatsoever. But when he piles in visits like that, that's going to be really hard.
Before the night began, Conan Whitehead was 7-2 to win the title
140.
tonight. Ryan was 9-2. They were in the middle of the pack when it came to the odds,
24.
but they are firmly at the top of the tree now.
But only one can find that pot of gold at the end of the darting rainbow.
100.
And it is the ultimate darting ticket. £5,000 first prize and a chance to return for Champions Week where you can win 20k. This is effectively a £22,500 match potentially if the winner of this goes on to win Champions Week.
You've got to be in it to win it.
85.
And like we've talked about with certain games this week in qualification or for progression, win and you're in.
170.
We haven't had a 170 finish so far this week, but there, Conan shows us how it's done to set up 32. The quality is going up. Even with that missed single, that was a great visit. But Whitehead for double 16. Oops. Well, he doesn't care, does he?
Conan Whitehead.
Slip into the single 8, but the fix after that, it was tight and it was brilliant, and it's 2-1 Whitehead.
And they are forcing each other
to
do the right things at the right time. The average is 93.33 Whitehead, 91.4 Furness. But they are being forced to take out every single finish in this game. Their opponents have been waiting, either sat on combinations or sat on doubles.
76.
No one's had it comfortable thus far.
Wouldn't expect anything less. As far as comfortable matches are concerned, we've had 4 matches, sorry, 3 matches tonight that have gone 4 legs to 1. Nothing in the way of bagels this evening, so we've been left somewhat hungry in that department.
100.
It was 4-1 to Whitehead over at Moreno Blom earlier. That was a good performance. 93.49 the average in that one.
57.
Just casting my mind over the averages, that looks like the best one of the night. Just a mark of the tension that we've had. We haven't seen anything stratospheric because we know that the players know what's on the line. Whitehead is making a move. His first maximum has come at a very good time because it gives him the throw in like 4.
He's going through the gears here, is Conan Whitehead. And Furness, you
65.
think, is going to be forced to take out the 144.
Go 18s. Well, that is awkward. That's why his darts kinked to the right and the flight was firmly in his line of sight.
84. Conor, you're quite 80.
And so to go within 1 leg of the weekly title, double 5 is there.
The 4th leg. Conan
And Whitehead is on the hill. He is 1 away from booking his place at Champions Week. And a £5,000 top prize.
Game on.
He is so close now. Even closer as a consequence of that 140.
$55. 41.
But that has presented an opportunity for Ryan Furness.
$100.
Hasn't really made huge inroads there.
$83.
There are times to talk. There are times to watch. This is the time to just revel in what these guys can do under pressure. Whitehead is not that far away
100
from a first weekly win under this roof.
137 points away from doing so.
From the list of people who have already made their way to Champions Week, the likes of Owen, Barstow, and Usher.
97. I've
already done it before.
46.
Can we see some heroics from Ryan Furness? It's Whitehead for the win. He said he was going to do it. He said he would qualify. He did. He said he would win. Does he? Let's find out. Whitehead wins. He banks the £5,000, and Whitehead is going to Champions Week at the expense of Ryan Furness, the heavyweight who supports Welling United. The man from Rainham has done it once again for a 4th weekly title and his first at the MODUS Super Series. Let's go down to the stage to find out how he's feeling with Chris Murphy.
Conan Whitehead, congratulations. You said you would do it. I'm not sure even you imagined you'd do it in such dramatic circumstances as tonight.
No, I was really pumped for tonight. I mean, Ryan had a lot of support there, and fair play to all of you. You've been brilliant for Ryan. But, yeah, I felt against it there. But, I mean, my big game against Andy. I mean, I grew up watching Andy, so I was so nervous in that game. I think it just released a bit of nerves for this game. So.
You did have one moment to relax, didn't you, when 3 players were up here having a 9-dart shootout? What were you doing and thinking at that point?
Do you know what? I was absolutely buzzing just to watch it. It was, I mean, I was nearly involved in one, I think, about 6 weeks ago. But to actually watch it and unfold, it's history in MODUS.
What does it mean to you to pick up this title, £5,000 tonight, the chance to win another £20,000 at the Champions Week as well?
Well, it's a very hard question, but I've come in with no expectations this week, and I mean, I had the worst possible start on the Thursday. I've proved that I did it yesterday. I promised Paul I would, and I said to Paul, I promise I'll win it. So here we are.
He's a man of his word. That's it for this evening. Conan Whitehead is the weekly winner here at the MODUS Super Series and makes it through to Champions Week. We will be back on Monday from 6 p.m. and another finals night live in front of a crowd. We've had a great crowd in here on Saturday. So for tonight, it's all about this man. Ladies and gentlemen, Conan Whitehead.
Thank you.